Hey guys, welcome to episode 34 of 4 Player Anime Cast. I'm your host, Spire, as always, joining with you on this lovely December day. A bit chilly outside, but shut the fuck up, Tom. Anyways, Kenton unfortunately could not join us because he,
Because he's a giant idiot.
well, he messed up his schedule and apparently doesn't know how to join us or whatever. So that's that. So Kenton will not be joining us today. We do have here the usual Nier.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
really
Nier's even more tired. I think he
I'm
was.
actually like really sleepy. I woke up at like 9 a.m. today, which is
Okay.
really early for me.
9 is all right. Toast. Toast is watching the DFL
Why?
finals.
Why did our white guy failed, our ex-pro Korean failed, and the only one who actually did anything against Asia is the black guy. So I'm rooting for the black guy.
Uh, yeah. So Toast is lamenting over the Asian dominance in esports right now, and we have Dark Soul, a returnee guest. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Also, Toast. Wow, what a shocker that the Koreans are dominating esports. Who would have ever seen that
Yeah, did you
coming?
know that the Korean commentators called the black guy the dark horse?
Oh,
Hey,
Hey, all right. We're
thanks,
getting off.
Fire.
We're already getting off track. Okay. Anyways, what did you guys go over the last couple of weeks? I know it was kind of a lull before the winter season, the end of the year comes around. I think this. I mean, every winter season is actually pretty fun for me because winter is around the time where all the small studios come out, and New Year, whatever December New Year is around the time where these new studios kind of release their small stuff or they do anime originals or whatever. But right now it is the fall. It is kind of halfway point slash ending point of the series. So how are you guys feeling?
Like shit. I feel like shit.
The series
Like
that I
I
shit.
haven't
watched, the
I
se-
haven't watched anything at all because I got into this stupid game called Fate Grand Order, and
yeah,
I have been re-rolling to get Saber for like 2 weeks. No, not that long.
You had to, you
it's
had
been
to
about a
you had to
week.
buy all those gachapon tickets
At
just to
least
not get Saber.
at least a week. I have been re-rolling every single day, and I have not gotten a single Saber.
how close have you gotten?
Not close at all.
Who was
Just
it? I
spend
know
some money,
your first role
man.
was Archer. Did you get anyone else close to that?
I've gotten other 4 stars, but never have I gotten a single
These
5 star.
guys, these guys are now suffering. Nier is now suffering the pain I felt when I was rolling through
I
Love Live School
hate
Fest.
I hate mobile games so
So
much.
much, yeah. The thing is, like, there's also like stamina, or like, especially when there's stamina, or like when you have to re-roll gachapon
I
tickets. You're like,
haven't even had to deal with stamina yet because I haven't gotten Saber yet, so all I've been doing is re-rolling every day for the
every day.
past week.
I can vouch for that.
Oh my god, dude.
Hate it so much.
Dude,
You're,
GG.
you're, you're welcome there.
I did read some manga though, which is rare for me. But
You read stuff.
I
That's
read stuff.
wow, dude.
I have overcome my illiteracy and read
It's pretty good.
words.
I feel for you.
Thanks.
All right, so which series did you read?
Oh yeah. I
You're like so excited by the fact that you actually read something that you forgot what you read.
I'm still pretty sleepy. I read this series called Drifters, which is
Okay.
a series created by the author of Hellsing. If you know what that is, it's pretty good. It's
It's
like
pretty good.
it's a lot of it's the usual spin on like different figures of history convening into like one place via magical
Magic.
space
Yeah, by
time travel.
magical fate.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty great. It's very funny. It's nice. I like it.
Okay. Anything else, or is it like
Uh, no, just
or anything else that kind of like popped up in terms of like, oh, this is like an interesting like plot point or something like that?
it's it's weird because it's like there's two like factions of historic figures, and they're
Mhm.
sort of like like it's kind of like it's described as a quote unquote chess game in
Right.
this fantasy world where like one mysterious figure is collecting these historic figures called drifters and putting them into this world, and
Mhm.
then this other mysterious figure is collecting historical figures called ends and putting them into this world, and they're both very uh different in their motivations, and it's kind of like these two figures are just putting them into the world and watching how it plays out.
Kind of like a chess match or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just like letting them out. Yeah.
More like a Holy Grail war.
It's neat. Like it's starting. I'm not that deep in. I've gone through like the first volume, and now I'm like halfway through the second one.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
but there's kind of like it's kind of starting to get into like the world's politics, and then there's the politics between these two mysterious figures and what exactly their motivations are, and it's neat.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Okay. So it's been pretty quiet on the weeaboo front so far. Uh, did you want to remark on anything else before I move on, or?
Uh, Not really. I've been
All right.
reading more Berserk. That's about it.
After they got off the
They got off the boat, man.
yes, yes.
I don't even read Berserk, and I didn't think it would fucking happen while I was alive.
Yeah, dude.
I
Yeah,
didn't think it
man.
would
Like
happen.
they
The representation preceded it.
they mentioned some sort of like time displacement thing where like time flows differently on this island than it does in the real world. So why do you think it took
Or on
7
the boat.
years and only 1 month for them?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, what
I
about?
want to die.
All right. So as for me, I've been kind of on a very manga, light novel, visual novel tangent. I've read some really. I read a really bad new light novel. Oh God, it was awful. Fucking. But I won't talk about that. What I will talk about is just mainly Yuri Yuri season 3 and uh an interesting visual novel that Nier and I played. You guys might have seen it on Hitbox. Uh,
Is it
I
Boob
actually forgot
Wars?
to. I actually forgot to link it on our Facebook and our Twitter, the VOD that is, but I need to actually do that.
Wow, idiot.
I fucking told people on my Facebook I was on this.
Yeah.
And now you're bringing this up.
Good
Yeah.
job, Spire. He told people, man. We have extra viewers.
Man, you're
I-
ruining this guy's
You're
reputation.
cracking under pressure.
Live
man.
I
on
apologize
stream.
for ruining
Cracking under
Dark Soul's
pressure.
reputation. But yeah. So the name of that visual novel is, of course, Euphoria. Did you don't even Dom? Did you even go through the true ending? The true ending is not okay. The true ending isn't even bad because it's like, it's just a mindfuck. But it's not even a mindfuck. It's just like terrible. Like I don't even know what else to say. But-
Was it all a dream in the end? Was it just a
Yeah.
euphorium
Yes.
of their thoughts?
It was
Really?
actually just
They-
yes. Yeah. Okay,
It's just a
anyway.
euphoria of their thoughts. Something.
Anyway, so first of all, I'd like to go into Yuri Yuri season 3. So I have some bad news for Yuri Yuri fans.
They died.
And
They actually like men.
yeah, they actually all like men. Yuri Yuri season 3 isn't as good as the previous seasons, and
But what
Just-
about that sweet Smash Brothers reference? That was great.
I mean, the thing is, like, there are some good references, but I feel like it's, well, no, it is definitely leaning towards more and more of this, like, cringe humor, or, like, like the style it's, like, that you see and displayed in a series such as, It's Not My Fault, I Don't Have Any Friends, or whatever that series is.
Oh, that series is
Eh?
terrible.
Stuff like that, they're leaning towards more and more of that, and I really don't like it. And part of it's because I don't like that type of humor, but part of it's also because it's very hit or miss. It's like you're like, oh, is it awkward but not awkward enough to get the people to cringe and laugh instead? Like stuff like that is what I don't really like because they're just kind of betting it on whatever. they're not really creating any new sort of interactions or whatever. A lot of the slapstick, it's much less sort of slapstick involved humor, much less simpler humor, not like non sequitur humor that I think Yuri Yuri does better on. Instead, a lot of it's again back to the cringe humor and stuff like that, and it, it kind of pains me. I don't know. I just don't. Do I think that there could be more varied humor like the cringe humor? Sure, but I don't think that sort of humor works well. I mean, okay, so people in chat are like, "What is the definition on cringe?" or like whatever, and it's the definition of cringe humor is anything that is based upon inducing like awkwardness both in the scene and in the audience, and these are seen objectively in.
It's like Wada mode. Obviously, we use that example already, but Wada mode has the jokes of like the main character trying to like talk to somebody, and then the person she tries to talk to goes, "Wow, what a fucking weirdo," and then she has like a mini mental breakdown, and it's like, "Wow, awkward."
Or like
Haha.
there's this like extremely like awkward scene that gets dragged out, or there is a person that is like, "Oh, this is really awkward," and the other person that's acting it out, the bouquet or like the dumbass or whatever, is acting it out for the scene. For instance, an example scene in Yuri Yuri would be where Kyoko goes into, I believe, Chinatsu's house or something like that. This is spoilers, but they go into Kyoko goes into Chinatsu's house, and then Chinatsu's sister is like starts telling Kyoko about oh, you must be that you must be that young or older, like more confident or whatever that they're telling you about, right? Or the older, more confident, like uh, upperclassman that Chinatsu is always talking about, which is Yui. But Kyoko's like, yeah, no, that's me. And then, and then for the entirety of the scene, she proceeds to like play it straight face and completely like replace everything that Chinatsu's sister thought about with what Kyoko crazy shit she's doing, and that builds up all the way to when Chinatsu knocks on the door, and Chinatsu's like, "Yo, that's not actually what it is," and this like sort of like keeping the tension, this sort of thing, it can be construed as cringe humor. A second example would be where what was it? There was an entire scene where like Sakurako was pretending to be Ayano, or yeah, Ayano for like an entire scene, and she was Ayano. Objectively, this is cringe humor because Ayano's literally like palming her face in her hands, being like, "This is really awkward." Like stuff like that is definitely cringe humor, and like you guys can, yeah, I mean, you guys can be like, "Wow, that's not awkward enough," whatever.
It's not based
That's
on whether you're actively cringing or not.
Yeah, it's an objective like
It's
type
just
of
a definition.
trying to get a
like
reaction out of
like
people.
if we were talking about is it awkward enough or is it not awkward, sure, I can talk about that and then be like, wow, maybe that was awkward for me, it's not awkward for you, whatever. That's a scaling
You can
argument.
just call it awkward humor instead of cringe humor because, like,
I mean,
whatever, man.
it's the same thing, but awkward humor is slightly weaker than it's the same type of humor. The point is, but it's really a lot of it's kind of a lot of beauty is starting to be based off that instead of the old sort of slapstick, the old sort of non sequitur, deadpan interactions that Yuri Yuri was used to. So again, I'm not as used to this sort of humor. I'm not sure if I will get used to this sort of humor, but I don't know if I like it that much.
I don't know. I feel like Yuri Yuri should stick to slapstick
The
because
Smash
Like
Brothers, though.
that's
like Kyoko doing deadpan, like, oh, like you're doing suggesting something completely stupid. Like that's sort of like the basis of a lot of these Kyoko Yui interactions, a lot of these Kyoko Ayano interactions, whatever. And then kind of the whole like Himawari Sakurako, like the group board thing going on. These sort of interactions, I think, could be grown a little bit more with a little bit more background or something like that. But to kind of sacrifice that for a different style of humor, I just don't like it that much.
I don't know.
Ayano's character isn't supposed to be awkward. It's like tsundere, which is not like I don't know.
But she's the one with the best puns. Bakin,
She
man.
just acts when she's not supposed to. That's
I have a solution for your problem,
but
and it's just go watch Ghost
Go
Shoes.
Tuesday, yeah. That's like
Just go
5
watch
seconds
Go
before
Choose.
you were about to say it, I was like, this guy's gonna tell me to go watch Go Tuesday, isn't he?
It's got
No.
a Yuri relationship in it.
I mean, I think I just maybe I need to watch more episodes and I'll be fine. But I'm okay with kind of chugging through that humor, but it starts becoming more and more of a chore for me unless like, oh wow, I definitely want to watch next Yuri season because there's gonna be more of this or whatever.
Well,
I don't know.
the problem
That's-
is that it's not endearing. Like, it's just awkward, and you have to trudge through it, regardless of how you enjoy the humor or not. Like, even enjoying any sort of awkward or cringe
Like,
humor.
even if you enjoy the awkward humor, you have to kind of relish it. You're like, oh man, there's so much like kind of tension. Like this is clearly not what's supposed to go on, and then it gets resolved, and you're like, ah, I feel it's better now that it's resolved. Now I find it, now it's even funnier, whatever. That's sort of the cathartic release that awkward humor gives you, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like Yuri Yuri. You're saying Yuri Yuri's going off slapstick and turning into something else, right?
I think it's still half and half, or maybe 60-40 still.
Sure.
Six
But, like-
six. It's like slapstick, whatever. But
I hear that, and I'm imagining something like say, the fucking God comes down to Earth and gives us Nichijou season 2, and then it's like, oh, by the way, it's not slapstick.
Kanshiko Kusei no Nichijou now,
It's
or
now
Yeah.
it's now a
Like-
slice of life
It's like, oh, by the way, here's a completely different style of comedy
made by
where
Kyoto
the
Animation.
entire basis of the series is now like taken away,
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's not taken away. I think,
or not taken away, but lessened.
yeah. I don't know whether it's gonna be it'll overall be more fulfilling or satisfying or more cathartic or not, but it's just my preference, I guess. And also, I did not see Akari and Chinatsu's date, but if that increases the interactions, I'll definitely go through it. I usually do find that Chinatsu and Akari have less of the, or have a lot more of the random character-based interactions plus the slapstick plus whatever than a lot of the other interactions, which I do find nice.
Well, maybe you should watch more anime then, Spire, if you
I
didn't
should
see
I
that
should just watch
date.
more anime. Okay, so but yeah, that was just my just my news. Shout out to all the Yuri fans out there. I still do love the series very, very, very much. It's very dear to my heart. I just feel kind of nervous about the turn it took in season 3. But yeah, anyways, next subject I want to bring up, and this will kind of be the major thing, is Euphoria. I like how
Wow.
dark.
What
I-
is
Why?
Euphoria?
I like how
Spire?
dark is saying he didn't even fucking watch.
I watched
You
like no. Okay, so
Hey.
I watched like the beginning until the like after the first scene, and then it got really boring, and I was like, all right, I'm fucking done. And then I popped it back in later because I was writing a paper, so I had to have responsibilities. And I popped in immediately on a scene, and I was like, all right, I'm done again. And then I just checked out for the rest of it.
Yeah, this guy didn't even see a girl cut her fucking head off.
Dude,
What's
I-
Euphoria,
Dude,
Spire?
I don't do that, okay?
Is it like Hibike Euphoria? Is it about music? Cause you like music.
Yeah, I do like you.
God,
Oh, jeez.
I fucking hate that. I hate that for the same reason I hate fucking Prison School, and it's because it's just gross, and I don't want to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Prison School is trying to be gross for comedy. This Euphoria is trying to be gross to make you feel bad. It's the
I
difference.
don't like that even more.
So what is Euphoria
let me-
for those who don't know?
Before we talk about it. Okay, so
You already
Euphoria
talked about
is a visual novel. It was released in, I believe, 2011 by Clock Up, Clock Up. It was recently localized and released by to the Western audience by Manga Gamer at
Manga Gamer.
and you can
They
go there,
publish
buy
great
it
stuff like Brew
for
Boys.
45 bucks or something. But the point is, it's supposed to be an utsuge. So an utsuge in Japanese is an eroge that's based around kind of making the viewer feel sad, the reader feels sad or in despair or whatever. And it starts off as a survival game trope where it's like we're waking up in a white room with a whole bunch of other people, and you have to do all these. You have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to survive and get out or whatever. And then it also does a genre shift, and there are character interactions and whatever, and moral themes, blah blah blah, all along the way. Usually, Utsuke also do have these sort of like, or more complex Utsuke also do have these like heavy sort of moral themes. Um, but yeah, that's
So it's like Chaos Head for those who like
Now,
Nitro Plus Sword,
the
or
way
is
you
it like
described it,
Sayana Uta?
really, I don't feel captured what it was.
yeah.
You made it
Yeah.
sound like it was trying to give you some crazy moral dilemmas in an actual reasonable way.
No.
But please
Should I cut my head
describe-
off, or should I not cut my head off?
Please
There's
describe how
there's
it
no
actually gave it to
there's
you.
no reasonable anything in this.
Yeah, there's actually okay. So let me read some tags to people. So some of the tags on VNDB all about Euphoria are rape by proxy, torture, scat, panic button. Yes, there is a panic button for this visual novel. What is this?
The fuck does
Stuck
that
in
mean?
sex. What?
What's a panic button?
Panic button, like a button that you can press in the game to turn it into something innocuous or hide it or something. Hide the visual novel.
I would be pressing that the entire time.
So there's stuck in wall sex, blah blah blah. What is it? Coprophagia. You want to tell what people coprophagia is?
Not really, no.
Not really.
No.
Coprophagia is Latin for shit eating, literally eating of shit.
So basically, what you do every day, Spire.
Wow, dude.
Oh.
Wow. Why you gotta be like that?
Sick burn, dude.
Why you gotta be like that?
Hey man, you played that game for hours, okay?
Oh.
That's not a lie. It took you hours to get through it.
Yeah, that's true. It was. Anyways, and there's a couple of other things that are interesting, but yeah, the the point of this series is
To eat
again,
poop.
yeah, to eat poop, to feel sad, whatever. Nier, before I kind of start off, because we Nier and I only played through one route, and it was not the main route. I'm after Nier kind of quit off for the night. Over the next couple of days, I finished off Euphoria and got through the true end, despite some bad endings here and there. So I want to get Nier's initial impressions after that one cast that we had.
My impressions, like right after, I think you know my impressions, but like
You want to tell for the
I'm
for the
I'm
audience?
pretty sure that
It's shit.
like 20 minutes of us just like taking turns sighing and being like, wow, like after we finished that was like, I think that spoke volumes of what my impressions are. Like, this is the most confusing, fucking weird, most bonkers bullshit I've ever gone through. Like, there's so much. Like,
What stood
this
out to
this
you?
thing
What
is
stood
like
out to you?
this thing is like really, really dumb. Like, through the survival games part, I was like, okay, this is really dumb.
Yeah,
But
it
like,
is.
but like, it's like, I mean, it's predictable, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you gotta jump through the hoops. You gotta violate these girls in order to survive. It's like, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
predictable, right? But then, like, it quote unquote ends.
It does. And then it starts the genre shift, right?
And then it immediately shifts to something completely different.
Fast fuck.
And at that point, I was just like,
Lost.
what the fuck is going on?
What does it shift to? Like after the end, where
It shifts to essentially a civil war between a high school full of rapists and a religious zealot
Oh, yeah.
cult.
And that, by the way, the leader of the cult. Spoiler ahead. The leader of your cult is your girlfriend.
The leader,
Oh,
the
that's why
girlfriend
you're
every
saying to
time?
look out for her.
Does the leader change?
The leader? No, it doesn't change.
Okay,
That's
the leader of the cult. We went through the leader's route, like because initially I was like, okay, she looks like the most normal girl.
She looks
Pick her.
quiet. Yeah.
And as the series went,
She
or
is
as this visual novel went, she like started to get real crazy.
first of all, it was a couple of headaches. That's fine. It's like
Yeah,
fine.
and then all of a sudden you had to like whip her, and then she like went completely bonkers. And it was like, okay, she's a masochist, whatever. But then it did this genre shift, and it's like she's a religious zealot cult leader, and then she starts giving you like these creepy yandere eyes, and it's like, oh my god, what is going on? Like it's so confusing. Like it gets
Oh,
real confusing real fast, and it's just like,
yeah.
oh my god.
I thought it ended with what you told me it ended with. This is a whole nother story.
No, that's not nearly the ending, dude.
No,
Wow.
Um, I think so. So again, it does do a genre shift from this survival game thing to something else. And for those of you who are okay with spoilers, what happens? The general idea of this thing, the general moral themes of what happens afterwards, after the survival game part, is what was it? Uh, it's basically another twist, or it's another visual novel taking after what is known in ethics as mental state theory. So some of you might be more familiar with the whole like, oh well, you know it. It was a dream, but it's a pleasant dream. Isn't being in a pleasant dream better than being in a bad reality? That sort of thing. So again, that's called in ethics the mental state theory. So if you have a better mental state, isn't it just better than being in a harsh reality or trying to earn it through a harsh reality? And that sort of thing is there. And then what I found about the Euphoria visual novel, which first of all has pretty decent audio visuals. It has decent audio. It the the visuals are not as good. I think it's a bit sloppy here and there, but whatever. Um, I it just what you for well, first of all, again, I went through the true end, and then I kind of discovered that it was more towards the mental state theory stuff. But it didn't it didn't explain it very well, I guess. Although it did take a lot of while. Um, and there are two things I wanted to point out about this. First is again about the survival game thing. And a lot of this survival game thing is kind of what it is kind of retroactively answered, I guess, in the second part. I guess you would say near, right? It's sort of
well,
answered in the second part.
well, the fact
Um,
that it's like, oh, it's all a
it's
dream.
all a dream,
Yeah,
whatever. Well,
I guess.
it's answered, but it still kind of reminded me of why I don't like the survival game trope. And that is because first of all, it's very like arbitrary, and by arbitrary I mean like I don't mean just like oh there's a random world or whatever. There are plenty of series with random worlds. That's not the point. But it can change the rules whenever. It can change the system or um it can do with the characters whenever and whatever just for the sake of plot. And sure, um the author has this very strong tool that is the survival game with which to change up the characters or change the plot or whatever. But it's very sort of like heavy-handed. It's oftentimes it kind of uh, messes with character interactions to the point where you're just like I don't know whether these are just sort of like natural parts of the plot or whether it's just the survival game being like oh by the way you guys are all fucked, that sort of thing. Um, and I don't like this whole like oh, you got to jump through more hoops. Here's almost a cathartic point for you guys, for the readers, and then oh, by the way, there's a level 2, and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Just finish it. Like, like I don't want to play like 10 more games. I just want to play a game, and it's the objectives are done, and I want to finish. Like I don't want to be cockblocked here, just sitting here, just fucking doing whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of like delaying this moment of release. I don't really like, just arbitrarily.
You don't like the blue balling in your
Yeah, I don't like the blue
hentai
balling of the survival game
Da
tropes because it
Vinci's?
does it so like it's not driven by the plot so much as it is like, oh, the author's just like, oh, by the way, I'll have some traps here where rocks fall and like half the people die. Like, okay, like that's not okay. Where'd that come from? So that's one part of why I don't like the survival game trope. And the second more immense part of why I don't like the survival game trope, and this is kind of leading into why a lot of people do like it sort of in the first place, like with Danganronpa or with whatever, is it a lot of people are like survival game trope or the survival game stuff. Uh, and this is also in like the sort of descriptions or whenever the villain comes in and starts doing his exposition as to why he made the survival game or whatever. And it's like, doing the survival game exposes the true feelings or the true nature of humans. And I always get really kind of annoyed at that sort of description because, first of all, that's not true. And second of all, it's just like, it's so like dramatized. You know
Well,
what I mean?
because it's like,
Like,
when else would you ever be put in this fucking
yeah, like
situation?
what does real emotions even mean when like all you're doing in the survival game trope is simply fight or flight. Like every second of your life, you're just like fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. Are you gonna die
Yeah.
or are you gonna eat someone's head off or whatever you need to do to survive? That's not necessarily real emotions. It's just those emotions in the situation of whatever is going on. That's you know like like me, laughing and talking and playing games with Nier or Dark Souls or Toast or whatever, that's just as natural or that's just as real as whatever is going on here. And it's just
They're talking about the primal human natures and whatnot.
yeah,
Like
the primal,
how you
the
like
animal instinct
NTR
or
and I
whatever.
like
Yeah,
vanilla.
I
That's
mean,
primal human nature.
I think the only actual prime in human nature that gets across then is humans like to not be dead, so
yeah.
they'll
Looking
try
out for
to
number one
not
when they
die.
actually have to, right?
Like,
Yeah, and I mean, it's um, I mean, survival game with a purpose. Like, I mean, there are survival games with like a higher, but it's like the point is there's this like very much like, I mean, okay, so the survival game with a purpose is it's not really answering the problem of what's happening in the cathartic action. So it's like there's like a more complex like weighing decision, but really it's not answering the whole like trolley problem. That is the survival game simply gives you this choice. Either some XYZ bad things happen, whether they're higher purpose, like, you keep your pride or whatever, or somebody dies. And this sort of trolley problem again is not doesn't really go into unique places that people have thought up of, or they don't like probe you. They're like when you're thinking about when you're thinking about how to empathize, how to sympathize, how to think about the moral themes of the plot or whatever. You're not really going any place where when for the 50th time a series asks you, oh, there are some people that are willing to you know sacrifice everything, just uh, to get their way, or there are other people that are quote unquote higher thought or whatever. They're willing to they're willing to kill themselves to save whatever else. And these sort of like very binary decisions end up happening just because it does involve a human life. And I don't think there's anything really worth exploring further in terms of these sorts of series happening. So if you're asking about kind of weighing with purposes or higher things happening, then that's sort of the answer I would give. But regardless, what happens is people are like the true primal nature of human beings, but what happens is usually a very narrow facet of whatever humans are actually supposed to, experience, kind of across a variety of things that they experience in life. A lot of these things are again very animal. They're very even non-human. So I just I just really try to stay off of survival game stuff in the first place. But unfortunately, the shit eating, I had to do it with Nier. Uh, so yeah,
Luckily, in our route, there
Both
was
literally and
yeah.
figuratively.
Mostly
Hey.
in the
literally.
route we picked, there was minimal shit.
Minimal shit. Yeah, that's actually true. The true ending has a lot of shit. Let me just
Now,
tell you that.
isn't that the best thing that you could say about a game?
What-
Thankfully, we took
Thank you.
the minimal shit-eating route.
Yeah, the minimally minimizing the shittiness.
We got the empty chamber in the gun full of bullets.
Yeah. The second thing I'd like to point out more quickly is they do go over this again the mental state theory, and I'm not. It doesn't really get answered. Obviously, the protagonist, guess what he chooses? Obviously, he chooses reality, right? Because reality, you got to earn that. You got to earn that happiness.
Gotta earn that
Bootstraps.
shit-eating.
Um, but yeah, it's. I don't think it's really explored like more in detail, other than it's just better, I guess. I mean, reality, right? Because I made a promise or whatever. Um, but it doesn't go through that well. I guess, I shouldn't have expected too much from what's mainly meant to just, feed you despair and sadness as shit into your face all the time. But I did expect maybe a slightly better try, just because Euphoria did make an entire sort of like world, and they did try to go for this like mindfuck ending, and this like they did this entire setup where it's like everything is very controlled. Like the protagonist has very 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 little agency in this game. So to uh to use this controlled setting but then not answer the questions, I feel like it's kind of a waste of potential for the world that the Euphoria visual novel built. Um, But yeah, that's kind of just all I had to say about Euphoria with regards to that moral theme. It just didn't do it very well. I mean, what do you guys think about sort of this like anime or manga take on the mental state theory? Like, oh, dreams are better, or good dreams are better than like bad realities or whatever. Because I haven't really seen that many unique spin-offs of that sort of idea.
I mean, the only real takes I've seen on that idea are the ones that pop up in video games every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the ones that pop up in video games are always like, there's always the exact same outcome of where the protagonist is like,
Yeah, like I'll choose reality. But the thing
I'd
is,
rather live in a reality than live in a dream my entire life. And it's like, yeah, whatever. But like,
bro. Okay,
but
bro.
like,
Oh,
I mean, when I'm waking up from bed from a good dream, I'd rather go back to bed and have that sweet dream where I'm not fucking poor every single
Yeah.
day of my life.
like,
Dark Soul, would you
I
like to
mean,
comment?
like fucking Matrix like tackled this so long ago and did
Yeah.
it like just so much better, where it was like bunch of people want to break out from the Matrix, but then there's the one dude who betrays everyone. Spoiler alert for the movie that's like 20 years old by now, by the way. He
There is a
betrays
man.
everyone. He betrays everyone and is like, why would I choose this shitty reality where robots are fucking like destroyed the entire Earth and are using people as batteries when I could just be in the Matrix, be rich, be happy, and still experience everything as I would when I was living like in a
Right.
real world.
Mhm.
So I feel like that did it better and with significantly less shit eating.
Do you think the Matrix answered the question of which is better, or do you think it just left it kind of there?
I think it left it up to people to decide, which there's never gonna be a right answer of which is
Right.
better
I mean, it's
because
it's, it's a way of thought. It's like an ethical structure, like which is right, which is wrong. It's like there's no.
yeah, it's one of those things where there's a lot of people who would agree with being like, well, if we can put ourselves into a Matrix-like situation where none of us would have to worry about anything,
Right. If you
they
can't
would
tell the
like
difference
that.
anyways, it wouldn't matter, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like then there's a lot of people who'd be like, yeah, but then that takes away from life itself and
I mean,
stuff like
even
that.
Soma did that, right?
Yeah, Soma kind of does that.
I mean, it does
It's a
it.
little different, but
It
it
does it in a
does do
more
it.
subtle way. It's not as like ham-fisted. It's not like, hey man, you wanna make this fucking 2D choice of living in the dream world or living in this shitty hellhole at the bottom of the ocean?
Actually, in Euphoria, it was pretty shitty in the dream too. Let's be real here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I was
mean,
gonna say, like, what, like that. To be fair, in Euphoria, there is no good at this point. You're telling me that it was
Well,
all a
the
dream, and when they wake up from that garbage, they're fucking fighting a civil war between like rapists and fucking cultists.
well, the Civil War is also a dream.
It's also a dream.
Oh my god.
You're actually
Okay.
in the lab, just like the Matrix. Like
Well,
actually.
I mean, who would want to live in that?
But yeah, it's. I
But
think
he's
I,
with his girlfriend in the Civil War.
Maybe he
So
should
it's
wake
okay.
up
It's
and be with his girlfriend then, or does she not exist?
no, she's actually the one who runs this Matrix. Surprise! Oh, dude, this is spoiler cast. But yeah,
And
one
she's actually not your friend.
Guess what? Who cares? Like, I
Well,
mean,
now we don't have to watch it. Thanks,
yeah,
Pyre.
you shouldn't play the fucking game anyway. Save yourself all the
play
trouble.
game, whatever.
But yeah, what I think one thing from your guys' conversation that I kind of thought up of is like I think an interesting twist could have been like you have instead of telling it from one viewpoint, like oh this is definitely right. I think there's like a twist on mental state theory where people are like, well, you only start comparing the values when the values of something, like let's say like earning $1,000, is much better in real life than it is in a dream. But you only start comparing these values uh, when you're conscious that you're in a dream, right? Like if you're not conscious that you're in a dream, then you'd be like, well, I'm just earning it, in real life, right?
Yeah, which was also what the Matrix brought up too in that same
Right,
scene because the guy was like, "I want you to wipe my memory so I don't know."
right, right.
But also in a situation like that, and even in I guess kind of Euphoria, if I'm assuming correctly that there are multiple people in this like dream state, those are real people making real conscious decisions. I can understand when it's like a dream where if you do become conscious of that, it's fucked up because you realize that no one is real in front of you.
Mhm.
But in like a dream state like that where there's multiple people in there, I don't know. I think that it kind of lessens the question because there's still human interaction and there's still like things going on. So
Right. Yeah. I just thought it would be interesting if like instead of having one viewpoint, there were two viewpoints. Like, so it's like it talks from the perspective of like one person and then it cuts out and it talks in the perspective of another person. And then it would have the person, in a dream, like he has no clue of like the reality. And then he keeps like experiencing the euphoria or the bad dream or shit eating or whatever. And then it would cut to the other person like outside in reality, like just watching him being like, you know, the reality isn't good, but like is the inside that much better? I think that would have been a cool twist, but this thing isn't really like this is like the most basic form of like what this idea is. So I wasn't too.
I feel like this game, even though it's marketed as like, oh, it's supposed to make you feel bad, what it's really doing is like, this is literally just marketed towards people who are into this shit.
Right.
Like
In
feel
this
bad or
Literally, a
not, whoever is into like scat and all that, this is for you, I guess. But if
Yeah.
you're not, then
Our
it's not.
route had more pee than poo, so there's
Yeah.
that.
So
at
if you're
least.
into that,
And a lot
then-
more crazy person per square centimeter kind of thing going on.
Yeah, there was there. It got real crazy towards
A little bit crazy.
the end of the first half.
Slightly crazy, yes.
We got pretty scared there for a second
Yeah.
when that
Dude, when the eyes came out, it was like, what?
when the fucking noose came out.
Oh my
I'm
god.
glad I checked out in the beginning. That game, as little as I saw, actively ruined my day. Like it was
Literally just went
late
over. It's
too.
like your day is over now. It's
How
done.
do you think I felt going to sleep after like 5 hours of that shit?
Dude, I went through the true ending, dude.
Yeah, that's all on you, man. That ain't on me.
Oh my god, we need to go through another series like or another visual novel like this sometime here. We need to do it.
We,
Oh my god,
I don't
I'm
think we
forcing you to do
do.
it
Mm,
as a right now as a host. But yeah, that was just just our Near and I going through that visual novel, our perspectives on it. I think it was an interesting work overall. It was definitely a new experience, like going through that sort of visual novel, if not new themes necessarily. But yeah, did you guys have any other questions or comments or anything that you guys want to say?
I mean,
Tainuta, dude. That soundtrack, dude. The thing is, like Tainuta, like I could do Nier and I could do like a visual novel cast through, but the major problem is the soundtrack. I can't take Tainuta soundtrack. Like
what
I have to
soundtrack? You mean the delicious sound of metal scraping on metal that is grinding into flesh?
just like brrr, dun, dun, dun,
Soundtrack
dun,
of
dun.
the year, baby.
Oh my god.
man,
Anyways, if nobody has any questions or comments, I'm gonna start moving on.
I just have
Uh,
one more thing to say.
yeah,
And I
let's
don't
go.
know, I guess there should be other people like this, but for some reason, I don't like gore in anime the same way I like it in other things. Like I don't mind gore in anything except for anime for some reason. There's something off about it for me
It's
when
because
it's drawn.
you wouldn't like to see Gochi Usa have gore, would you?
No, but it's
Then
not
there
just
you
that.
go.
It's just in general. It's
I
just
think I
like
think it's just the way it's like
strange.
You just don't
depicted
like
versus
Because
like
you could
girls
say that
in
about
bad
anything, though. You
situations.
could say, like, I like video games, but I really wouldn't like to see gore in this game over another game.
it's I think part of it is because a lot of the gore in anime is made purposefully like much more visceral than it is in real life or whatever. Like if you had the same sort of violence in or violence in terms of like the violent physics or whatever in anime that you and it was transferred over to like whatever GTA just cause whatever game, right? Maybe a more sandbox game. And let's say you cut off someone, like they would be like ragdolling all over the place, just like neck stabbed off and like like blood spurting out, and you'd be like, what the fuck is this? But like in an anime, like you have to sit there and watch as fucking a fountain of blood spurts all over your fucking face,
You
like it's
see,
got El Dorado, but with like blood.
like the blood fountain, like the aptly named blood pinata like
Yeah.
style of gore. That doesn't like that hasn't phased me like ever really. I don't think.
I don't think it's the blood. I think it's the fact that like for instance like knife stabs like you don't mind like like Saber or whoever or Ryogi or whoever's holding a knife. Like that's not that, right? They're just holding a knife. But
No,
when
but
the knife
I mean like the act of like someone if someone like gets like cut in half and then their blood shoots out and they're maybe there's some intestines. It's like it's like oh wow gross like I
The
can't.
last thing is kind of what gets to
The
me.
the thing that gets me is like gore that was done in the 90s where they were showing like bones snapping and you could see like muscle tendons and like
it's very extreme
internal
sounds like thump,
organs
like
like
loud.
Akira shit and
Yeah.
Evangelion shit like that stuff.
It's very loud, very extreme, very
That
sort of
stuff I that stuff that's like no like I
and,
can't deal with that.
and I think it's also this sort of like tension between, the the weapons getting close to somebody's skin and then boom, making that first cut.
Yeah,
That's why stuff like the guillotine is, much more frightening because one moment, she's there, she's alive, and the other moment, boom, it just slices through. Like that sort of, I think, extreme sort of extremely fast, extremely loud, extremely visceral thing, where it's just like it happens, somebody's like pristine, somebody's pure, and then boom, they get chopped off. That's sort of a thing I think kind of faces people a bit more, maybe.
maybe.
Uh,
But
and
like you see like Evangelion stuff and like an uh an angel or whatever gets its face ripped open and it's got its eyeball hanging out and there's like fluids and shit leaking out of it and there's all these like different colors and stuff
mhm.
and it's very like it's all detailed, you know? Like it's all there. It's not just red.
I think it's I think anatomy thing is important, but I think what's more important than accuracy in anatomy is this is part of what I think about horror is that like so I think horror this is kind of like going off on a tangent, but it's actually pretty important to what we're talking about. But so I think horror is built upon three things. One is one is threat, and that is if there is something bad like a gun or like a fucking axe murder or something like that, you're like, oh shit, this is bad. So that kind of gives you horror. Second is juxtaposition. That is like if you have like something that's not supposed to be there right next to each other, you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like if you have, let's say, you're going around a school corridor and suddenly around the corridor there's like Slender, and you're like, what the fuck? That's a juxtaposition. And then third, I think that's most important is unfamiliarity. That is, you're not sure what it is. You're like, oh god, you're not habituated to it, and that's sort of the part with like the blood, the ripped off face, the eyeballs dangling out. You're not familiar with this scene. You're like, oh god, this shouldn't be happening. Like I have not faced this before. Like this bones cracking, like the skin ripping off. Usually see people, whole, right? Like I don't see people like ripped off all apart all the time. So this sort of gore, yeah, especially as Biohunter says, in the Moe style, when it's like more cute, maybe I usually see these girls, going to school with toast in their mouth or whatever, right? But when I see their bones being ripped off or they're pooping or their suddenly like half their neck is chopped off and it's like very visceral, then it kind of gets to me.
I feel like in a lot of cases it's also like you were saying with a juxtaposition sort of thing. It's like the art
Yeah,
itself, like the gore part,
right,
is what's the most detailed thing, and then
right,
it's like if you have like the Moe style and shit, like that's not that detailed in that way.
right, right, right. But then you suddenly have this detail like face ripped off or whatever, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
yes,
I suppose it's context for me primarily too, because like I can watch a bloody anime, but if it's like fucking cool, then I'll like it.
yeah. I think that's also part of
Like
of
JoJo was pretty violent at certain parts. I mean, it wasn't super bloody, but even if it did have some gore in it, more gore in it, like it really wouldn't have phased me because I was like, this show's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think that's part of familiarity, right? Where it's like, oh well, JoJo is like you're coming in, like you're kind of habituating yourself, like it's gonna be all like punching the dog or whatever, right? um, Stuff like that. But and by the time something a bit more strange, a bit more strange happens, you're kind of used to it already. So it's that sort of thing, I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But,
I
yeah.
I tend to watch things to enjoy
That are not
it, so-
not troop related, for instance.
Yeah, in general, I just watch things to enjoy it. Like that's why I actively ask if someone recommends an anime series. I'm just like saying like, will I feel good by the end of it, regardless of like whether
What
it's a decent, if it's not a great end or not, like not great for the character or anything. Like, will I actually feel good watching this thing? And it's like,
right.
if the answer is no, then it's just like I'm not going to watch it.
It's not about the destination, man. It's the journey.
It's a journey.
I mean, in the journey too, it's like, will I feel good watching this show? It's like, no, you won't. It'll break you down and you'll feel bad. And I'm like, well, then I don't
I
want to watch it.
mean, 90% of that is people being like, oh man, I cried. This is the saddest shit of all time.
I mean, it's not even so much just like, oh, I cried and felt bad. It's
Like-
just like,
Like
will
people
it
will
be too far for me or something? Like, will it be
I
too
mean-
much? Like, too heavy-handed?
nothing's I mean, there's shit that's like way too heavy-handed, but usually that stuff isn't recommended to other people. When I'm like, hey man, you should watch Fate Zero, and then you go like, am I gonna feel good by the end of it? And I go, well, not really.
Will
And
I feel good about the show though? Is primarily what I'm saying, like in general. Because like
yeah, the show is good, but
take
like,
like Attack on Titan. By the end of it, I didn't feel good about it. I
yeah,
was
but
just
I mean,
like, this
Attack on
show is
Titan,
just so heavy-handed. And
Attack on Titan
is
goes like,
so good, man.
it
Attack on
was
Titan
so
goes like, oh man, I dropped my popsicle, time to blow my fucking brains out. It's
like
like Fate Zero is like, oh man, character got completely fucked, and now their dreams are crushed. But it's not like, oh man, everyone in the world is dying because I'm a failure, and it's like, oh my god,
yeah, like
dude,
that's what
calm
I'm
down.
talking about. There's a good bit of things like that, and it's just like, I mean, for Attack on Titan, it got so big, and even I think I like sort of enjoyed it from like the first watch through. But it's like if you watch it a second time and you thought you liked it, you may have a very different opinion because mine changed very quickly.
Confirmed. If you thought you liked Attack on Titan, you are wrong.
No, I just recommend giving it a second go because it's like when you do that, you realize how slow it is and how
But
just
I don't-
nothing
don't
is
you
there.
also like that Attack on Titan school thing that you were watching recently?
No, that is not me. That is, I believe, Dom or Bio, and that is not me.
I don't recommend giving Attack on Titan a single go through.
Wow.
Well,
Off.
neither do
You
I
can
at this
watch
point,
up
but
to the
it's because I
first, like the
already
first
got
arc.
through the
The
second.
first arc is probably the good one. After
You
that,
can watch up to the opening and then close the window.
Yeah, listen to the opening and then just go about your day. But no, I think like it's not so much like I would recommend it to someone to watch it twice. I would recommend people who have watched it and say they very much enjoyed it to give it a second, to watch it a second time. If you haven't watched it, I would just recommend not watching it at this point.
why watch Attack on Titan when you can watch something good like Mirai Nikki or Akagame ga Kill?
Are you reading
Yeah, but
off that,
Akame got
are
killed
you reading
also.
off that awful list you linked me?
Yes,
Oh my
Akame got killed still isn't that good though.
but it's on Toonami, man. It's so good.
It's gotta be good.
Yeah,
mainstream.
it's got to be good if
Gotta
it's
be
on
good.
Toonami, just like the Attack on Titan dub.
Hey man, Dragon
Or the
Ball,
amazing dub.
Dragon Ball
Stopping
Z
this
was on
train of thought.
Toonami. Don't
Yeah,
Four
piss
player
we have
Toonami.
Animecast
to- we have to back off.
does not support the views of Toonami supporting fans.
Kenshin was on Toonami. Yu Yu Hakusho was on Toonami. Trigun. Where do you think
Wow.
lots of
Dude, how do I even argue against this evidence?
Did you know if a series is on the top of the BD scales, it is probably the greatest anime
Dude,
of all time?
guess which series topped the BD sales in summer?
Fate
Oh,
Zero?
I'm gonna mention in the news, but Symphogear.
Hey man, that show is fucking hype, dude.
Symphogear.
That show is like non-stop, completely stupid, pants on head hype.
Did like Nana Mizuki just like go out and give blowjobs to everybody who would buy a BD sale for
You leave
Symphogear?
Nana Mizuki Nana alone. She has a very nice voice.
She does have a very nice voice. But that doesn't mask the fact that she probably had to give a blowjob to every person who would buy a BD.
You can't have a
of
good
Symphogear.
voice if you give a BJ to
Man,
everyone,
I wish-
man. You'll develop
True.
polyps, you idiot.
Toast speaks from experience, I think. Anyways,
I am medically more experienced than any of y'all losers, so I'm correct.
I would buy Symphogear for a blowjob.
yeah, for a blowjob. All right, this tangent is interesting, but we need to move on to the news now.
Well, what did you
Anyways.
watch, Toast? Well, I watched.
You told me before the fucking stream you didn't watch anything worthwhile. Get the fuck out of here. All
To
right.
be fair, I
Oh.
did
What
kind
did you
of
watch, Dark?
something. I don't know if you guys did talk about this more in depth on the podcast, but
Whoa, which
I've
series?
been keeping up with Ruby Volume 3. So I don't know if you guys have
That's
no.
not
I
real
think we bring
anime.
it up.
Guess what?
think we
It's
brought it up in a
on
guest
Crunchyroll and there's a manga for it. It counts now.
Yeah,
Counts.
if it's got a manga, it counts.
It's over, guys.
Fucking
just
count.
We
like
can't hate it anymore.
just like how Attack on Titan is now a comic book because Spider-Man was in it or
That's true.
something like that.
It is true. There was a crossover.
Oh my god, guys.
Fuck. So I don't know if you guys ever covered that, but I could talk
I
about
think we
that.
covered it
cover
during,
it in
like,
like
guest
5 minutes at some point, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think we talked about it in like a guest podcast, but we didn't really go over it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about it? I could cover like just season.
Do you want to
3.
just do updates, I guess?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
that's-
So if you haven't been keeping up with season 3, there's a couple of good. There's a lot of really good things, and there's like one problem I'm seeing so far. So if you watch Ruby, you know what it is. Blah blah blah. If you haven't, you should go check it out. But so for season 3, the main problem here, and we'll start with the bad and get to the good. The main problem right now is that they're in the what is it called? Tournament arc. Now, the tournament arc in this is better than it is in most shows because there's a lot more stuff going on than just the tournament, and the tournament's kind of just like an excuse to have more battles. So the problem with that is that now, since it is a tournament arc, they're introducing a lot of teams. And for a fully fledged anime,
it's doing the Saki thing where it's like they introduce a billion teams and then they do flashbacks and background stories on every team or something like that.
it doesn't seem like they're going to do flashbacks and background stories, but it's just like right now, since Ruby, like everything, most of the powers and stuff have been established. There's not much to go with other than like different fights and different choreography. So
Okay.
instead of giving characters new powers, they just add more characters. Now, this makes characters balanced, but the problem is it makes it too many characters to actually follow.
Like, yeah, the story is getting weighed down.
Yeah, and so the problem here now lies in the fact that it's like none of these characters are gonna get like enough screen time. You're gonna have teams where you can literally tell that they are throwaway teams that you will never see again because they're not even like shaded as well as the others.
Right.
Then you'll have situations where you look at this team and you're like, wow, this team's really interesting. I can't wait to see them maybe in volume 4 in like a year and a half. Because like what I was saying with a fully fledged anime, it might be good because you'll have like 22 minutes for an episode. You will have 12 to 24 episodes. Whereas for Ruby, you'll have 10 to 15 minutes. And that's without like the intro and outro and whatnot.
Right.
You'll have 10 to 15 minutes per episode and probably a maximum of about 16 episodes per season. That's the issue because there is not enough content.
15 episodes, that's not... Yeah,
There's not
that's
enough
not
content
enough.
to cover these teams as well as go over the backstory. Right now, they're juggling it more in favor of the story, which I enjoy, but they're not keeping up with the teams. Like they introduced this season alone 4 new teams within the first 5 episodes.
Mhm.
And that's not good. One was a throwaway. Another one was kind of a throwaway, but not really. And then there are 2 ones that are just legitimately like fully fledged teams.
Right.
So that's the issue. Those are the issues. Now, the good thing about this season is it is better than all of the other ones. It is anime self. Rubycast is anime. It has a manga.
Not
Anyway.
even anime.
So the good things about this season is that it's technically more like it's technically improved drastically from 2, which I enjoy. The animations in seasons 1 and 2, if you watch it, you'd know that like in a battle, it would be like really nice fluid motion, and then in just like a scene where people are walking or just doing basic like things or like even running sometimes would just look extremely like stilted and just not very good and just really awkward in some cases. So that's kind of a problem. That was like a problem with season 1 and 2, but they seem to have improved that. Now, that's probably due to the fact that there are more animators in general now working on it. So that's good.
Mhm.
So that really blends in the scenes more. The lighting's better. Like everything visually about the show is better. So that's nice. And story wise, they are getting into a lot of more interesting things that they introduced. The problem is between the teams and story, how are you going to juggle that?
Right.
So that's kind of
It's again it's an unfortunate introduction. Do you think that potentially they could make truncations to it, or like what's going on?
I think potentially like they just need to have more of a budget and just more episodes dedicated to it because like a 10 to 15 minute like and this is actually the longest of the seasons as well. Like season 1 had legitimate 3-minute episodes. So get fucked. Season 2 would have like I think like a 6-minute minimum at sometimes or something like that. And now season 3 has like a 10-minute minimum, most of them being 15 minutes or a little bit longer or a little bit shorter.
Hmm.
So maybe by like volume 4 or something, it'll be like fully fledged episodes. It seems like it's going to head in that direction in general, no matter what, considering the amount of like push that it's getting in especially in Japan. Like Warner Brothers is the publisher now, and there were
Oh,
pictures of Akihabara, and there was like a giant like banner for Ruby there, like on a
right,
building.
right, right.
So they are pushing it very hard with that and the manga and the fact
Because
that
they
there's a
actually they
Japanese
also have the
dub.
money now, I think. So
Yeah, well, I mean, Rooster Teeth doesn't have the money, really. Warner Brothers has the money. Rooster
right, right.
Teeth,
No, I mean I was saying with the Warner Brothers, right?
yeah, Rooster Teeth has the money to keep the show going, kind of, but they don't really have that much
They don't
money.
have a lot of publishing slash distribution kind of like in
Well,
like
I mean,
mainstream
their
news.
own is like their own distribution is fine, and they are under full screen now as a publisher, like for all of their content as like their parent company. The
Mhm.
problem is they really don't have that much of a budget to hire on like more animators because they do have a lot of
Okay.
animators, but they have to split that between all of their content, and they're a very multi-content like
Right, they're
company
like
because I think
yeah.
the last time they said they have about 100 employees now or more or a little bit over, but that's split between a very wide variety of
戦果報告書
content.
が届き
I think maybe a quarter of that is on Ruby.
Right.
Less than a quarter, probably.
It's just something that grew much more viral, or that grew viral much bigger than anybody
Yeah,
had any right to even predict. So
yeah, it grew a lot faster than I think anyone could handle, and it'll just have to grow on its own pace,
it'll
and
just
it'll
have to
just get
find some
better.
way to finance it or fall down a hole. Like
Yeah,
it's
no,
gonna
I
sink or
mean, like
swim.
it can.
It's gonna sink or swim now. So
I think it can. I think it's gonna just swim in general, but it's just the problem of just waiting now. Like after this season, there should be a very big lift in it because the localized Japan version with like the dub and everything is not out yet, I believe, and neither is the manga. So once that comes out, I feel like the push is going to be even harder, and they should be getting in like more money from that as well.
right.
So hopefully season 4 has like fully fledged 22-minute episodes.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right. Excellent. So that was a little bit of update on Ruby. And with this, I guess we'll move on to the news.
Not even
Like-
anime.
It's manga,
Dude.
man.
Oh my god. All right, we're not gonna go on this. Anyways, back to the news. We have a little bit more news than from I guess previous episode, but still not as much news going around. Probably what'll happen is around the New Year, around Christmas, around New Year time, stuff will explode, and then people will have a lot of news to talk about. So first piece of news: Otter Media invests US 22 $22 million US in Crunchyroll's parent company, Elation. The company will use these funds for expanding product and engineering capabilities, original content initiatives. So, a lot of these I don't know. I don't know whether it's gonna be more based around their sites. Maybe they're aiming towards releasing or strengthening their distribution stuff, whatever it is. But it's going to be interesting.
Crunchyroll
This
the anime starring.
yeah, this original content initiative kind of worries me. But Crunchyroll has strong connections. They have all the licenses they know. They've worked with product, excuse me, content creators from Japan and so on. So I don't have too many worries. What I hope is that a bit more of this money goes towards quality assurance. is my one thing, but
Yeah,
I doubt
we
it.
talked about this the last time the Crunchyroll creating stuff came up. So
Yeah, with Netflix, I think, right?
What
yeah.
would they? I'm trying to think of what they would do with that. Would you think they would push their actual like mascot and whatnot in her own
Crunchyroll
show?
has a
Like,
mascot.
yeah, dude, Hime.
Oh, right.
Faku mascot versus Crunchyroll mascot in a best in a mascot girl battle. Is this how it's gonna happen?
I
Is
mean,
this what our
perhaps.
Western anime is going to become? Just people with just mascots of random distributors and like sponsor companies just fighting each other for domination. God damn it.
Please.
Here is already sighing. Holy shit.
Crunchyroll the animation. That quest to become the top
Crunchyroll
mascot.
the
It'll be
hentai
like
movie.
Supersonico versus Crunchyroll and Miku
Oh my
versus
god, if that thing happens, I'm just
Faku.
gonna.
What's her name?
The quest to become the anime distributor with the worst subs possible.
It's like
Hey,
Skull.
they're not the worst subs.
No, they're not. They're
possible.
not the
They're
worst.
They're
all
just
right.
very mediocre.
They're the worst paid for subs.
In some cases, they're improved for some like shows. I would argue that the
Some
Gochiusa
cases
subs
they
are better
hire
on
the A
Crunchyroll.
team and they're like for a season for one series they're on top of it and all these other fan subs they just replace prefixes or suffixes or whatever. That's fine. Some other times they send in the team that did like Rosen Maiden like 2012 or something like that. And then their subs are like, what's happening? Why is this name like not make any sense? So
Yeah,
it's pretty varied. It's same with light novel and manga translations. Sometimes their stuff is not exactly the best, but there's some good stuff in it. But it's definitely not like I wouldn't ever say stuff like these paid subs these paid subs are consistently better than the fan subs that came out. Like they're not. So
oh
whatever.
no, and they also don't have like in a lot of cases they don't have some of the better shows in a season as well. So
Yeah. Oh my god. All
If
right.
if there's going to be like a mascot fighting tournament, I'm gonna vote for Zone Sama Chan. What's her name?
I'm gonna vote.
Zone 10.
Yeah, her. 'Cause she's like Philia from Skullgirls. She's got the tentacles and whatnot. She's got multi-hand. She could beat up everyone else.
All right.
I don't think Zontan will be beating people up. I'll say
In the butthole.
That's what we said before
Hey.
taking Funko, right? That's what we said before. All right, we're gonna move on.
They should do that. Fund it. A Crunchyroll, the anime, which is basically a Skullgirls fighting tournament between all the other company mascots.
Yeah, all you need to give is
Just add it
Lab
to-
Zero $3 million. There you
Just-
go.
Yeah.
on Kickstarter, over 15.
No, on Indiegogo,
Oh my god.
on GoFundMe.
on go yeah.
On every site.
Visit
on
my
every site.
Patreon.
All right, we need to actually move on. The next piece of news. This is actually a very interesting piece of news. I'm kind of surprised by it. I'm kind of nervous by it. Or made nervous by it. The Familiar of Zero, or Zero no Tsukaima in Japanese, the light novels are starting up again, and the
Who?
first volume after the creator's passing has been scheduled. So,
Who?
for those of you who do not know, Yamaguchi Noboru is the artist, or excuse me, the author behind Zero no Tsukaima, and he passed away before he, I believe, or yeah, I believe before he finished it. And for a long time on the horizon, it was on limbo. It was not considered done. It was not considered whatever. And people were just like, these 20 volumes are gonna be what's that? What's that? and some people like the anime made a canon sort of wedding ending and so on and so forth. And now it's starting back up again. We do not know the announcement did not reveal the name of the author writing the new volume, but it did state that the volume will also be published outside Japan simultaneously, although not necessarily in English. The website also revealed that the new volume's cover art of the hero and Luis illustrated by returning artists, so the artist is all the same. So we don't know the author, but it is coming back.
If there's simulcasting releasing it, it's got to be a foreign person.
No, it's I don't.
Probably
I think it's a popular. I think it's gonna be
probably
a
a
more
white guy.
mainstream maybe ghostwriter,
Probably a
some sort
white
of
guy.
like popular ghostwriter.
Did
or
you do
that-
this, Spire? It's your fault, goddammit.
Is
It's my fault.
this a glimpse into the future of Berserk?
Somebody else is gonna because he died.
I mean, there's no way he's gonna finish it in his lifetime. Let's be real here.
Hey, maybe now is when he'll start like picking it up again. You know, maybe that's why they're off the boat.
The
because he
next
can
chapter,
actually know.
the chapter just came out, right? Like, not even 2 weeks ago.
The getting
The
off the
next
boat is
chapter-
another- it's passing into the next world.
The next chapter is slated to next year.
Well, it is
Never
bi-monthly, isn't it?
mind.
He is not finishing that in his lifetime.
It's
Oh
bi-monthly,
yeah,
right?
that's true. If it is supposed to be bi-monthly, technically it would come
It's
out.
supposed to
next
be
year.
monthly.
Never mind.
Well, next month is next year.
But that wouldn't be monthly then. It came out last month technically. It came out in November. Should come out towards
It should be
End
at
of
the end of December. But it's slated for like mid-January.
Yeah.
At least we'll have JoJo Part 8, 9 done soon. I hope.
No.
What I mean, going back on the subject, what do you guys think of this? Like nervous, kind of.
I Zero no Tsukaimo as written by George R.R. Martin or something. I don't know.
Suddenly, Luis just dies.
I mean, I don't have like experience with this series. But like I was saying, if this was Berserk, I'd be like having a fucking mental breakdown as to like
Another author.
not even knowing the author.
Yeah, that's. I think the problem is like, I really don't like the fact that they didn't release it, which makes me think that it is like a random, or not a random, but like, sort of like an experienced ghostwriter of sorts that's trying to kind of patch it all together, and like maybe if that was like a chapter, I'd be like, even not even a chapter, because it's just like just end it. Like first of all, this series is not that good. Like it wasn't. It was never that good in the
Says
first place.
you.
Shut the fuck up, Toast.
If it's not that good, why is it starting up again, idiot?
Because people
'Cause-
are
Yeah,
fucking
man.
retarded.
That has nothing to
There's
do
that.
with. That has nothing to do with if it's good or not. If it's starting up again, it's because people like it, and also it had 3 seasons too.
I mean, people like
Yeah, I
bad
mean, it's
things.
people can like whatever.
I mean,
I
people
don't.
like Attack on Titan, and it's got a lot of spin-offs. That means it's popular. That doesn't. It has nothing to do if it's good or not. What?
It's just that no. Look,
Doesn't
look,
Attack on
the
Titan
point
only
is
have one spin-off right now?
no, Attack on Titan has
It's got
like.
quite a few.
Ah, boy.
But yeah,
Never get into that basement.
the point is that this was quote unquote fine as it is, like the plot wise, story wise, like popularity aside, like this. First of all, it was not a story that should have been continued. Secondly, it was not a good story to continue in the first place.
Says you.
No, it's just not a good story. Like I don't know, I don't know what else to say about it.
What if the ghostwriter is actually the ghost of the author?
Ghost of the author.
It's like
Just
I'm
channel-
not done yet, you idiots. I gotta finish my work.
But yeah, this I just it's a very mediocre series, and the fact that it's getting this continuation kind of pains me, since it's not. There's very little way that this is going to get this sort of natural ending, even if it was by the same author, and it wouldn't. It's not going to get any better with this sort of new author sort of trying to patch things up, because this author simply does not have this or does not have as much sense of where the story is going as the original author. So I'm kind of not feeling
What?
it.
You gotta finish it somehow.
What
But
if this new
I
author
don't think
goes
it
for
needs to be
like?
finished like that. Like
What
it's
if
the thing.
this new author does like another volume where all the characters get way better, and then he finishes it and it's fantastic?
But that doesn't even make sense because the characters were shitty to begin with. So where are they going to go in 2 volumes?
Says you.
Hey
Yeah,
man, two
I'm just
volumes can do wonders. You never.
yeah.
2 volumes of Berserk could do
Photoshop do a
wonders.
little bit of airbrushing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Two
Well,
Alright,
volumes of
it's
Berserk will take a decade to come out.
would you rather have Little Busters season 3 or a continuation of Zero no Tsukaima?
we're moving on. Alright. We're moving on.
Oh, Spire,
I don't even know what to say to
Spire,
that.
did you see the list that I linked you that I also showed near?
No. Actually, can you link it while I actually move on?
Okay.
This
You should check out
this
the
next
list.
season news is going to maybe puzzle and kind of leave people distraught in terms of where Shaft is going. So there is a new Madoka Magica concept movie. It's a short movie. It's not like a full length whatever. Animation studio Shaft will unveil a short concept movie for a new story related to Prelemagi Madoka Magica, or Madoka for short, for its commemorating 40 years of Shaft Monogatari event Tokyo on Friday. The movie hints at a new project for the franchise, but nothing has officially been announced. So they're trying to create another spin-off for Madoka to milk another one of its cash cows.
Why wouldn't
Again,
they, man?
Didn't Gen Urobuchi say he'd like someone else to take the reins of Madoka because he's tired of it? Something like that?
I mean, I think anybody would be tired of fucking Madoka at this point.
I mean, Ken Iwabuchi got tired of Aldnoah after like 2 episodes.
after 3 episodes. Yeah, Jack's right. Like most people thought Madoka was done after the original series. Nope. There's like a million like movies. There's a million
But
movies.
they're also on Netflix. Feel free to watch them.
And in
With
each
garbage
movie,
subs.
in successive movies, Homura gets more and more lewd. Or like if you see like the movie posters for like each one, her outfit grows more and more
You're
risque.
panting, Spire. Calm down there.
Calm down, okay.
Jeez.
But yeah, it becomes more and more risque after each one. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, are they just selling it on Homura's outfits? Like,
The more she becomes a demon, the looter she gets.
yeah, that's just how it goes in with Magical Girls, I believe. But it's just, I think, like when I saw the new work thing, I was like, oh, maybe Shaft is announcing something like a new franchise overall. With Umeaoki, the wide, Ken Urobuchi, as much of a flawed writer as he is, whatever. But then to just extend Madoka, I'm just kind of losing hope in
Shaft to a new series? You mean like Makaku City Actors?
I was gonna say, nah, it's gonna be Makaku season
Like,
2.
a little bit in my mouth. Holy shit!
Yeah, I think I prefer more Madoka.
At least Madoka makes money.
As long as Shaft Shaft just needs to pick one decent franchise. It doesn't even need to be like a masterpiece. It just needs to be an okay franchise. They work off it like A1 Pictures did, like JC Staff does, like whoever else does. Just like even Gainax is doing nowadays. Just pick a decent series. It doesn't have to be mecha. It doesn't have to be like super whatever. Just something that's not like based off some Nico shit like Makaku City Actors. Just a regular series, animated. Maybe make OVAs off that. Finish off Kizumonogatari, and then find some fucking good talents or a good writer or create like an awards or a competition like Kyoani does and find like some decent talent. Please, for the love of God, stop doing Hidamari, stop doing Madoka, stop doing fucking.
But I like Hidamari.
I mean, no, they're all great franchises. Like they're great, but that doesn't mask the fact they've been milked for far too long. Like, do we really need 3, 4 seasons of Hidamari with random OVAs and specials that you can never really find anywhere sprinkled in between? Like, I
Yeah.
don't think so. Like,
As long as
All,
people
all I
keep
want,
consuming it,
all
yes,
I
yes,
want
we
is an
do.
SYD season 3, with sprinkled in with 15 more OVAs before it happens. Just like what happened with season 2. It's so good.
I don't know. Next piece of news.
I'm still trying to finish Monogatari.
Next piece of news. So Thomas Remain, the art setting designer for the Senki Zesho Symphogear franchise and many other works from the studio Satellite, reported on Twitter on Friday. So Symphogear GX, I believe, which is the second season. Yeah, I don't even know which season Symphogear is on. Um, Symphogear has gotten, I believe, one of the top highest speedy sales among summer anime, although that doesn't really tell that much. In terms of BD sales, or like BD sales doesn't determine like profitability. It only determines like how enthused the core base is.
How good it
Like,
is.
yeah, it determines how good it is. Period. So on the backs of that momentum, they just determined that Symphogear will come back in. I believe the first season of Symphogear got like, I think it couldn't have gotten more than 15K BD sales. It got pretty low BD sales, so I think they were pretty happy by this. But yeah. Oh, GX. Okay, Symphogear GX is 3. Excuse me, my mistake. But yeah, Symphogear, interesting series. Never forget the English dub part of Symphogear, please.
Was it English dub or the English in the English?
The English dub.
It was both.
It's so good. For those of you who don't know,
Go link it. Go link it.
That's that fucking web app I
uh,
watched
but
ages ago, I guess.
wait, Dark Soul, have you seen it? I think
I
you saw
think so. Is it the one where that chick's like talking on the phone and
As
it's like,
reported.
yeah, like
Yeah.
what the fuck?
this one.
Gee.
Symphogear doesn't need dubs. So good.
I feel like that should be required for every anime to have that kind of dub before it gets a full English dub. You
Uh,
should have the in between as well.
Yeah, Sesium makes a good point. I wonder how shit like Japanese iTunes sales are doing for that compared to the BDs. I'm pretty sure they're doing much better just because Nana Mizuki. Yeah, I mean, no, okay. The show is based around Nana Mizuki singing insert songs like every other minute that she can get. It is literally a vehicle designed for Nana Mizuki to make crazy, rock, pop rock songs and just sell them. That's that's what Symphogear is. It's not anything else. So
Yeah, but Sweet Idols suplex spaceships, dude.
while singing, while the insert song is still going on.
That shit's so stupid, it's great.
It's pretty interesting to be sure. But yeah, for those of you who are Symphogear fans, get ready for a season 4 then. Um, Next piece of news: Chinese e-commerce company Alibaba, known for their recent rise in terms of obviously e-commerce sales, whatever, also been accused, I believe, of kind of putting on their site too many fakes, so not regulating the fake stuff that on their site.
Wow, not regulating fake stuff.
you mean
Sounds
like-
like a Chinese company to me.
You mean like this
Wow, dude.
like this Chinese Naruto manga that I've been reading that we're about to post in chat? That's great. Where everyone
it?
looks like Naruto and Hinata and Sasuke. Oh my god, it just updated.
Once again, of course
okay.
it updated.
I
All
gotta
the
read
sources
this.
there already.
Dude, all right. So if I can continue on. So the Chinese e-commerce company Alibaba Group Holding has begun producing live-action dramas based upon Japanese anime and manga for a Chinese internet streaming market, starting with an adaptation of Norifusa Mita's Dragon Sakura manga.
Wasn't that the one about like a principal and some school? Or no, it was a teacher, right?
I think lawyer and ex-motorcycle gang member Kenji Sakuragi sets up a special class to help students of the Ryuzan High School pass the Todai
Yeah, that's it.
exam. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a branch of the whole like GTO kind of thing. But yeah. Um, so Alibaba is moving on. I guess they're trying to obviously become a conglomerate, but they're moving on to making these live action dramas, which is kind of interesting. Um, it's kind of weird that they're not porting in just distributors of like the anime or manga, or and they're just doing live action dramas. But I guess if that's more popular, I guess that'll work out. But yeah, it's interesting. Alibaba is again one of the bigger companies in the world, so it'll be strange to see what they do when when they get their hands in anime.
I mean, the reason that like most Chinese companies just like copy other stuff so much is that you can't really just like distribute your stuff into China.
Yeah, it's weird because like a good example is for instance like Apple. You know how they have this vertical integration where it's like they kind of manufacture everything from the ground up, or they contract with people to manufacture everything from the ground up and have
Yeah.
very close reg. So they have it so that their chips and their stuff that's made in China, or yeah, that's made or like distributed in China, are 1 or 2 years back in terms of being updated, just because just
Mm-hmm.
because they're scared of the factories. They're kind of reverse engineering it and just making cheap ripoffs of it.
Yeah.
So it. I think the most interesting thing I think we're going to get out of this is how Alibaba is going to distribute it, how the spinoffs are going to be regulated or whatever. But we'll see.
Yeah. But it's mostly
Alibaba.
it's mostly like someone can't like go, hey, I made this manga. Let me just like sell it in China. You
Just
can't
sell
you
it.
can't do that. So like
You can't do that casually. It'll just get ripped off.
some Chinese artist will be like, hey,
That's
maybe
mine now.
maybe somebody wants to read this in China. I'll just fucking steal it and yeah. Like
Case in point, exactly what Toast has been talking about.
yeah, I mean I imagine it's pretty hard to like get Naruto in China. So make a Chinese Naruto, right? Like
Yeah, that's
Or make it American Bleach.
or do
damn it.
that.
All
Whatever.
right, we're moving on. Next two piece of news. We're skipping on to the people news. So two pieces of news today. One happy and one not so happy. One is oh wait, did we talk about this? Voice actress Tomoe Tamiyasu announced his marriage. I think we might have talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about that last podcast.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Um, the second one is Jinpachi Mori has passed away, and Jinpachi Mori is the manga creator behind a lot of older series such as Kase no Hito, Penkin New York, Tsuchinoko, Tachikaro, etc., 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 and a lot of these sort of more based upon like urban city life manga series. Unfortunately, he passed away due to esophageal cancer. So a moment of silence for his passing. Okay, so I guess since we just covered the people news, there was only one piece of news because I covered the last one previous episode. We'll move on to shoutouts, callouts.
I have a piece of news, Spire.
All right, just give it to me straight.
Uh, an article posted on Niche Gamer titled "Idea Factory will no longer localize games which need censoring for Western regulations."
Oh, did this come out after not Fairy Fencer, I guess, but because there was a recent thing where it's like there so Sekai Project released something called Yojo Simulator, which is
Mm-hmm.
literally just a girl walking around a city, like jumping around, doing parkour or whatever.
It's just
I
a
believe.
bad game in general,
It
though.
got
So
And they-
pulled
there's
off
that.
Yeah,
Steam.
it got pulled off Steam because apparently there was a scene of it where an adult male was
There is
over
there is a
female.
tiny Easter egg in an extremely hard to access corner of the map that is literally like a corner so far off the map that you are like breaking the game by getting there. There is a like passed out ragdolled uh
female or
lolly,
whatever.
lolly, like
Yeah,
the player model essentially,
yeah, the player
a
model,
ragdolled player model, and there is a
a guy
man
over it.
standing
Yeah,
over it, and that's
yeah,
it.
yeah. And then so it got removed off Steam, and the developers apologized for it and would fix that scene, blah blah blah. Did it happen after that, or what's going
This
on?
happened after that, and this is actually, I guess the catalyst for this is the recent Dead or Alive Extreme
Oh yeah, the Dead or Alive
3
stuff too. Yep, yep, yep,
shit,
yep.
which is completely stupid, but whatever. Idea Factory president Haru Akinaga made a pretty eye-opening statement regarding the issue of censorship of sexualized women in the West. Um, Essentially said that's honestly their decision, but yes, sadly, it has stopped us from localizing certain compile hard games. We don't want to censor anymore because we know that's not true to the original developed art. And
See,
No, not Monster Mon piece.
see,
God damn it.
here's the thing that I don't understand. Why do companies even bother at this point? Like, Dead or Alive, I could see because honestly, that game probably wasn't going to sell very well regardless. So it doesn't really matter whether there was backlash or not. But the fact that these companies talk about, oh, there's so much backlash in the community is not their audience. They're not talking about their audience.
The
Anyone
vocal
who was
community, the
going to,
vocal
yeah,
community.
and it's anyone who was going to complain about Dead or Alive Extreme 3
Probably wasn't gonna buy
their
the game in
women,
the
yeah,
first
was
place.
not no, not even wasn't was probably not gonna buy it. They just weren't
Didn't
gonna
even
buy
know.
it. They
Yeah,
were
they didn't
not
even.
gonna fucking buy it. There was no way they were gonna buy it. This is not new things in any content. And it's just one of those things where it baffles me that companies are like, well, we can't do this. We can't have this quote unquote backlash from people who were not gonna buy the game to begin with.
Hmm.
unfortunately, from what I'm hearing, is at this point, it's it's getting to the point where it's even like getting into the ESRB, where like the ESRB is saying that like unless you censor some of this shit, we're just gonna straight up give you an AO rating, which obviously companies don't want. Like if you're localizing a game and a ratings board is saying, well, you have to censor this or we're gonna give you an AO rating, it's like, well, there's no point in localizing it. Because once you get an AO rating stamped on that, no local retailer will ever stock that game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the major thing.
You're
That's
never gonna get that on PSN. You're never gonna get that on Steam. It's like
I
impossible to sell.
I think
yeah.
what needs to happen now is we need to just wait it out at this point with the ESRB because it's gonna go the way of how like film happened in the beginning, where films were censored and like the board eventually had to be revised over and over again
You're right.
until it wasn't fucking insane.
I think what needs to happen at this point is just simply no region lock, and the Japanese version comes with English subtitles.
Yeah, I mean
And
that's
then
the
you
best
completely
way to do
bypass
it.
localization.
I think the big thing and this is part of the reason why everybody is going online is I think digital distribution and working with Western online communities and online services agencies that obviously also have like their headquarters or whatever, but it's mainly working online and overseas. I think working with them overseas to create these sort of online distribution areas, online methods of distribution, like manga gamers or something to an extent. But obviously, they can make their own sites. I think stuff like that will kind of help a bit, a lot more. But obviously, people are still kind of still going to video game stores or whatever. But at least, you know, uh, going on to stuff like Steam, whatever, will help a bit more. I think with at least how shall I say it, making more projects viable And then what they can do then from there is kind of throw shit at the fan until, enough stuff sticks. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know. I just
It,
think
it's it's
it
it's a it's
needs
a
time
torturous
at this
process
point.
either way, because even if we wanted it to be like, like let's say ideally what would happen is like we go online, and then there would be Steam, PSN or whatever, it would be much, we get much receptive online platforms, and then boom, we just have people work online in localization and just send it over or whatever, right? And then the Japanese kind of companies will work together overseas with the localization companies online, use online distribution platforms, don't bother about having these scary labels on on physical copies or whatever. But
I mean, even digital games need to be rated by the
I
ESRB,
mean, it's
though.
rated, but it's much less like noticeable than like
I don't know. I still think the only way, because this company is saying they don't want to censor anything because that's like bad. Like censorship's bad. Like no, there's no two ways about it. Censorship's like a bad thing, and like they're saying we don't want to censor anything because like that ruins like the final vision of the game. That
yeah.
ruins the creator's vision, and but then you have like this ESRB in the West saying, well, you've got to censor this thing or we'll make it so you basically can't sell this game at all, no matter what.
Mm.
So like the best way to just completely negate the ESRB would to be have non-region locked versions of your game and include English subtitles and then have uh and then work with stuff like PlayAsia to make something easily importable.
Hmm.
It's just like if the
It's
ESRB,
kind of hard because what they need to do is like there's still this huge localization, overseas distribution bottleneck going on, even online. But and it's like it's good that now we have things like PlayAsia, JList, Manga Gamers, whatever, to kind of sell stuff. But then the problem still remains that even those sites themselves are very niche, like compared to every
I mean,
other platforms. So
these games are niche in the West. Is the thing.
yeah,
Like
but
the person looking to buy these games isn't just going to be like casually browsing GameStop and be like, "Oh, hey, Senran Kagura, finally. I was looking for this
finally.
all over and I couldn't find it. Now it's magically at GameStop." No, they're going to go to like the people who really want to play Senran Kagura. They've already bought the Japanese version and they're already playing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
did
Yeah,
you guys see
don't you
what's at
think
that
that
new
these
center in Kagura? There's a
absolutely.
kiss simulator in there
yeah,
now.
you can
Oh
kiss
yeah,
them or whatever passion it is,
and
but
head pats.
yeah,
This
not in
game is
a yeah.
evolving. It's
Like the
crazy.
point is the audience that these games sell to, the audience that like Xseed is selling to,
Mhm.
like they are the people who go online and will import this if they have to.
I mean, I mean, don't you think that maybe one or two of those games could become a gateway game and maybe could be, shown to audiences that are not, necessarily, already kind of in the know, right?
I mean,
Because those kinds of games could also be kind of sold on, wherever, and that's sort of kind of their implied future objectives, right? They kind of want to sell these games not just to the people that are already in the know, already get it, but they also want to kind of have it to like a general audience who they're like, oh, anime isn't too bad, and then they kind of they
I
also
mean,
get interested in
well, it's
there's
gonna
going
be.
to be the anime games that get through that don't need to be censored. Is the
And
thing.
so
the
you're
problem
saying
is,
just wait for those to be released on okay platforms and then have the niche games on the niche platforms. Is
Yeah.
that kind of
well,
the scaling thing?
it's not only that, but it's gonna be pretty hard to get your game out there to a broader audience when you don't release it. It's gonna
Right.
be real hard to do that. So
I mean, when Koei Tecmo is saying we don't want to release this because it might hurt our audience. When you're not releasing the game, you
You
don't
have
There's
no
no,
have
audience.
an
yeah,
audience.
there is no more
There's no
audience
audience
involved.
to hurt, and there's no money to be made. And it's like, I don't, I don't get it. You know?
Yeah, it's. I think they're afraid of, again, the vocal community's like reputation, or vocal community's backlash, and sort of like being able to chase them down and be like, hey, look, they're trying to release this game that has blah 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 in it, and then later on, even if they try to release a general game, people will be like, hey, remember the time that they released this really stupid game? So I think
I
that's
mean,
kind of
it's
the
Dead or
conservative
Alive. The entire Dead or Alive series already has this stupid like herp derp
reputation. Yeah.
boobies reputation. Like whether it's a good fighting game or it's a volleyball game or it's a game where you're taking pictures of girls in bikinis. Like
Yeah, the
the
fact
Dead
that
or Alive series is synonymous with boobs.
the fact that the common sentiment around Dead or Alive 5 was, oh wow, it's actually a good fighting game, kind of says a lot about that series. Like,
uh,
I just think like I really hope this like awful trend of like everyone getting really upset at everything in video games like really needs to pass because Nintendo is starting to censor shit that really doesn't need to be censored, and like now Japanese companies are refusing to localize games because they don't want to like censor the shit out of their games. Like it's getting a little bit much.
yeah, it's getting to the point where, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's got to go the route of film at this point. Games need to evolve to the point where they need to win like a battle where they're considered art, because then they're completely protected under the First Amendment and it doesn't matter anymore. You could release basically whatever you want and not have to be censored for it.
I think a lot
But
of
it's
this
going to be
has to be,
really hard to do that.
it's essentially this, it's that, it's also part of why, Doja and stuff like that gets very, heavily regulated at the Border Patrol when they're getting passed over to people, right? So, I think just, I mean, even, with the ESRB, and stuff like that, the people that make the ratings are not like, you know, you and I, or even, our parents or whatever. They're like fucking 50-year-old, white women who hasn't seen a movie since like The Music Man or some shit.
Well,
Like,
the problem is too is that it's not only like these people are just fucking unreasonable. It's also the fact that they're like their entire like existence relies on them censoring things at this point, and they need to do that or shit just won't happen. And they've always been shit. The ESRB has always been fucking terrible. Look at what happened with Halo. Halo, for the since Halo Reach, has had the rating of blood and violence. Blood and violence has been a teen rating for years, and the ESRB refused to give them an T rating for Reach because Halo was a rated M game.
yeah,
And everyone
it's
knows Halo's a rated M game. And everyone knows video games are bad for you if they're rated M. So it has to be rated M. And it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen and heard, because they go back on their own policy and their own fucking rules and just completely throw it all out the window, so that some mom in GameStop doesn't now see Halo and say, oh, it was M before and now it's T now.
it's
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 just
it's
fucking
definitely. I mean,
ludicrous.
ESRB as a whole is, again, a very kind of convoluted organization. So that's but it's also, a confounding factor is that, it's just like a cultural thing. Like, it's when I say cultural thing, I mainly mean like intent. Um like, what is it, like, if we're saying like, Idea Factory or Jazz USA or wherever, right? And they're making these games, like, I don't know, I'm gonna pull some random thing that seems, like, let's say Criminal Girls, right? uh, where it's like you're doing the rubby on the girls' bodies to get like bonus points or whatever. And a lot of the times there's this like cultural mismatch because people are like, this, the intent of this is to, um, what is it that people say? It's like, I don't know, just describe, girls as objects and then,
Yeah, but if I
dehumanize them or
wanted to
something, that stuff like
fucking
that. Yeah.
murder them, that's fine.
I mean, Criminal Girls is an easy example because it's like you're essentially like you're lewdly touching these girls. Like it's pretty obvious that it's made to be lewd. But
Right.
then you have something like uh fuck Xenoblade Chronicles X. Nintendo took out the boob slider from the Western version has no boob slider. You're permanently stuck with like D cup sized boobs because apparently boob sliders are extremely sexist.
Which
And
is
it's like,
so
what?
stupid. It's such an ass. It's
Like,
such ass backwards logic because it's like, so you're now saying that it was offensive before to American sentiments, but all women looking exactly the same is not like that's not offensive at all.
it's like
Everyone looks like this
I
as a
don't.
character creator.
And Nintendo is a weird example too because they're doing this with zero provocation. Like no one's telling Nintendo to do this stuff.
I think it's just that a lot of this is people are kind of missing the intents, right? Like a lot of Japanese games, like especially with like the boot size or whatever, are made with this thing where it's like it's it's not like they're actively looking at girls like, oh, is there some way to kind of like, you know, make them lewd or whatever. It's more like, oh, if you have cute girls in our games, it's nice. Just like with hot like Bishona or whatever in like Otome games, if you have hot guys in our games, it's nice. It's a sight for the eyes, that sort of thing. They have this thing where it's like, you know,
I
you
mean,
gotta have
a
hot
very
girls.
large majority of Western gamers have that exact same sentiment. Like
Yeah, I mean,
if I want to make a small character, a shorter character in Xenoblade Chronicles X, she now has retardedly huge boobs on her because I can't make her flat chested. Like, why would that be taken out? Like, oh, I'm gonna take away your character options because boobs. It's just so mind-boggling.
again, I think it's just the cultural aesthetics just mismatching. Again, I think it really does help if more of this, I guess, does end up spreading out to not I wouldn't say the general public, but it's like in like a nice manner where it's just like the aesthetics that's again of these games isn't really just like, oh wow, we only want to draw sexy girls because sexy girls are like the only type of girls that should exist. It's just that again, it's better to look at sexy girls than it is non-sexy girls. Just like if it's
I
like
think
you had a
more
calendar of firemen, you'd rather have sexy firemen than non-sexy firemen, right? Like that sort of thing.
I think more Japanese studios need to take the same stance as Compile Heart and say we don't want to censor our games. And if you say we need to censor our games, we're just not going to localize them.
I,
And
I
then
think it's
hopefully
also
this gets something out of people who want to play these games and they
yeah,
start
I
getting
guess
mad.
the
And,
backlash against the backlash kind of thing going
yeah,
on.
and something like happens from it. Like it's really
Yeah,
frustrating.
yeah. We'll probably be returning to this subject over and over again as
Man, I just want my CCCC to come over already. I need my Heaven's Feel route.
I just want to play video games, dude. Like
Man, I just want my Fate Extra CCCC. I need my routes, man.
caster.
I need my
Yeah.
We're
caster
not
in a casual
allowed
outfit.
to play video games anymore. Okay.
But yeah, it's we're gonna be coming to this, especially since more and more visual novels, more and more stuff, more and more Japanese stuff is being gonna end up being localized regardless, just because of the potential demand or whatever. We're gonna come back to this over and over again. So we'll we'll save it for the next time the the scandal occurs.
Is
So to
this
say.
why Cancole is never gonna get localized because of
No,
censorship?
Kankana is never gonna get
Thanks,
because it's bad.
China or USA.
Ooh. Nah, but
All right.
honestly, I could see it happening with Kantai. Like,
We might get the Vita game, but not the. No.
Kantai would be fine, I think.
Unless
but
like a company like
maybe not
Nintendo
like
does it.
marriage part or whatever.
Yeah, Kantai would probably be censored with that whole no lollies thing, with the marriage thing.
that's true.
Tokitsukaze,
That's true.
marriage with Tokitsukaze. Ooh, baby, that's
Anyone who
that's gonna
marries
be one for the
Tokitsukaze
news.
is a pervert.
That's gonna be one for the
You heard it from me. Anyone who marries Tokitsukaze for unpure reasons is a complete pervert.
for
Unpure.
pure reasons. By the time I've bought that fucking Kantai wedding ring, I don't think anybody would have unpure fucking motivations. Or if they did, it's all been washed down by the microtransactions.
There are no microtransactions in Concole. None that are actually game breaking. It's not pay to win.
I like how you did pause for a second and be like,
I was
game
trying to find the
breaking.
right word for it because like all the transactions in the Concole are, oh, let's buy more resources, or let's buy an extra ring, or let's buy ship slots. And, like,
I
that's
mean,
it.
that's your standard.
but-
that's your standard mobile game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
and
not.
he's
It's
not-
not like. It's not like, oh, there's a stamina bar. You need to pay this amount to. Well, it kind of is with the resource thing, but resources you can build up yourself, and you get through, like doing expeditions. It's nothing. Nothing requires actual money that will hinder your
so it's like a
enjoyment of the game at
standard
all.
microtransaction thing.
No, it's not. I told you it has no like.
You just have to grind extremely hard to get it.
You
It's
don't. You
different.
just do this, and then you wait. It's not as taxing as like an actual stamina system.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
It's
way more
that's not
lenient.
what I've seen. Yeah. All right. Wow, that was a long tangent, but yeah, thanks for the piece of news, here for the talk that we had, and we'll probably have again.
Shit makes me mad, man.
What? Just coincidentally, what's your shout out and call out?
What are the shoutouts and callouts, Fire?
All right, sorry, I should explain it.
God damn it!
those of
Every
you who are
time.
not in the know, yeah. Thanks for catching me, man. Every time, what a bro. The shout out is one thing, person, group, nation, etc. Tumblr users who you want to talk up to, compliment, whatever. Call outs are, more people, one person, one thing, one trend, one, series, nation, whatever that you want to flame or insult or rant about, etc., etc., etc. And you may have one shout out and one call out near.
My call out goes to Nintendo of America for censoring video games that really don't need to be censored.
Just
For-
Nintendo of America, yeah. Out of everybody, just
Well,
like randomly
Nintendo of America is the only one like
doing it randomly, yeah.
doing it for
Yeah.
no reason.
Yeah, it's like, did you see? I mean, not to cut in, but did you see why? Like, what happened with the new game? I forget.
With
you know, what it's called.
Xenoblade?
Not only Xenoblade, the other one where they censored
Fatal
the class and
Fatal
they made
Frame?
it
No,
a
no,
fucking
no.
cowboy.
Censor
Oh,
the class?
Bravely
Cowboy?
Second. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
Bravely
Oh,
Second.
second default.
There's a fucking Bravely Default. The sequel to Bravely Default, Bravely Second, had a class costume changed. There's a class in the Japanese version of Bravely Second, which is called Tomahawk. They're essentially a Native American.
They
have-
with like
They've
axes or
got
something like that,
they've
yeah.
got an axe. They've got some feathers on their head, and they've got like body paint, and they've got
right.
your
It's almost like
stereotypical
skits.
Japanese designed Native American.
Which
Right.
I'd like to point out historically did happen. That's like saying, oh no, a Viking is offensive.
It's actually a very cool character design. It looks quite nice. The Western version has a cowboy, which is just a girl wearing a cowboy hat, and it looks like fucking shit. And the class
I like the design.
the exact same. There's literally no reason to change it whatsoever, but it's like we're just doing it because somebody might get hurt. Somebody's feelings might get hurt. Fatal Frame, they took out a bikini. Like that was kind of the start of it. That was really stupid and pointless. Xenoblade, they're like covering up a
Well, the thing
they're
about the Fatal
covering
Frame
up a
thing.
young looking girl's skin for no reason. They're removing boob sliders. Fucking Fire Emblem, one of my favorite series of all time. They're taking, they're altering support conversations because it kind of sounds because there's like a love potion involved, and apparently people are correlating love potions with roofie rape. What?
The thing about
Oh, the
oh
love
yeah,
potion.
that one.
I think I've
But
seen
yeah,
So
that.
so stupid,
the
and
thing
it's
about the
just
Fatal Frame one, that one's kind of justified because it's a great the bikini in question was for a gravure shoot. We kind of don't have those
Okay.
in Marika, so yeah, it's like
but I mean,
and then there was that
they're
cutscene
taking something
afterwards where
bad.
there was implied a lot of things, and I mean that one's I think that one's justified, but the other ones they're not, because the Fatal Frame one goes way more
I
so
mean,
than the
the
others.
game's gritty. I don't think any censorship is justified. To be honest,
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like you made the
Again,
game
I
and
think
people know they made the fucking game. Like, ugh.
again, I think this is just intent. It's just like the whole like the cowboy Indian kind of thing isn't meant as a bigoted statement towards Native American Indians.
it's just a
It's
character design.
yeah, it's just like a cute character design, kind of like what
Hey man, Native Americans are Americans too.
it's a
Yeah,
Why
and
thing.
it
are you
also
oppressing
had they
Americans?
It's
also
a
had
thing born out of
warriors like
ignorance, where
that.
it's just like they're trying to be like, oh, there's this like cute thing, that was in America, and we're trying to do it. And again, it's a clash of intents, unfortunately.
It's like the same thing with Quiet in Metal Gear Solid 5. Like people got all up in arms because she's showing her skin, and I mean Kojima said a really stupid thing,
It was
which
kind of to make people shut the fuck up.
I mean it was to make people shut up, but he should have just said like it's character design, dude. I just like the character design, and we went with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just he
Like
should
there's
have been like, it's not like he's not making a statement with the design. It's just a part
it's
of the game.
just a design, dude. Like there's a Q&A with Taro Yoko. I'm sure I've showed you this where uh they ask Taro Yoko, by the way, is the director of Nier and the upcoming Nier Automata.
Hmm.
And they asked the director, "Why did you make the main character a female?" And his response ad verbatim is, "I like girls." That's it.
Yeah,
Like there's no other reason. It's a character design.
yeah. It's again intent, but I mean, what can you do? People are complaining about it, but it's we have to do gradual, backlash, gradual, cultural kind of integration kind of things. But beyond that, there's not much you can do to stop a screaming mass who, like they're simply missing out on the intent. They think it's a lot of these statements are made for them, but it's just not that important. Character designs aren't that important. Character whatever. It's just a cute Indian thing. Like.
It's just it's really frustrating seeing all this shit unfold, and then it eventually devolves into us not getting games. You know?
Oh well.
Oh well.
So what's your shout out?
I don't know, man. I'm a crusty old man at this point.
Literally.
My shout
Cynical.
out, my shout out goes to the upcoming Drifters animated adaptation. Since I am reading the Drifters manga, the Drifters manga is currently only up to 3 volumes. I believe it started in 2011, 2010. It is only 3 volumes in. It's very slow right now, but hopefully the animated adaptation follows the same suit as the Hellsing OVA series, where when the Hellsing OVA series started, I believe Hellsing only had 4 volumes out, and
Uh,
as it went on, I believe the first OVA aired in 2006, and it was animated alongside the production of the manga until the manga ended in 2010, and I'm hoping the Drifters thing follows the same suit in that the manga production will pick up once the Drifters anime adaptation comes out.
Mm.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. Okay, so I guess I'll go next. My shout out is actually to Nisio Isin and Akira Akatsuki. I know I do dump on Nisio Isin every once in a while, but uh, Nisio Isin and Akira Akatsuki, known as the creators of a little series called Medaka Box. Nisio Isin being the main writer and Akira Akatsuki being the main artist. And I love both the art style as well as the idea behind Medaka Box. They're actually reuniting to create a new manga series, and I'm like, yes, yes, this is what we need. Um, but yeah, it's just coming out under the name of Shonen Shoujo. So it's so it has it says Shonen Shoujo in terms of like how you pronounce it, but I believe the kanji is like put differently. So the title is Illness Boy, Illness Girl.
Oh no,
Um,
it's another wordplay, just like the final arc of Medaka Box.
just like
Great.
everything Nisio Isin tries to do, honestly, though. um, but yeah, the magazine teases what can be seen clearly in a society that lacks hidden individuality. So, Nisio Isin has never failed to create an interesting series. He definitely has some writing flaws, but I don't think he's ever really been like, I don't think I've ever seen a series where I'm like, yeah, this is just another standard series for Nisio Isin kind of thing. So, I'm looking forward to it. The art style is going to be good, so crossing my fingers. Um, my call out is to fucking Shaft for just move off your cash cows, guys. Just stop. I'm like Shaft. Shaft has like good talent. It's not like they don't have good talents. They have, you know, Akiyuki Shimbo, who's like probably one of the better directors of this generation of anime. Um, they can pull in people like Okatamari who does decent script writing or whatever. Again, Uruchi does very good grandiose, storytelling, like Bard, one of those bards that tell like epics or whatever at the campfire. Um, it's just, but they need to think of something. They need to have an adaptation. They need to have an original that's not like shitty. That's not like Nico Nico Doga or some stupid stuff that's never worked. Uh, they need to get off doing Hidamari sketch, off doing, you know, Madoka Monogatari, whatever. I know that they planned out the whole like, oh, get, a different team of directors and writers to do one episode each, that sort of anime project going on. But I they just need to they just need to find a new franchise, honestly. It's just getting really tiring seeing these same, cash cows over and over again. And sure, maybe the core franchise is like, or the core base is still, gonna buy every BD, whatever, or Blu-ray DVD. But I mean, people, if you look in the Japanese polls and stuff like that for like gateway anime, for like series, whatever, for what series was most popular, people are already forgetting about these, Shaft series, considering the demographic. They're forgetting about Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. They're forgetting about, Hidamari Sketch. They're forgetting about, maybe not Madoka so much, but it is starting to age. So I think Shaft just needs to get a move on. Yeah, I mean, Dom's like, Hidamari is so good, and it's like nobody has ever said that, Hidamari is bad, or like Madoka is like bad, or like Monogatari is bad. It's just that they're aging.
I
Shaft needs
mean,
to,
at least with Monogatari, like
at
once
least with Monogatari, there's
once
a resolution.
Owari's
There's a
done,
yeah,
and once
it's
Kizu's over, like that's it.
yeah, yeah,
They can't like rehash shit.
yeah.
That
That's at least the constellation. Like
li-
Nisio Isin is like, okay, we're done with this. No
yeah,
more. Right,
like
yeah.
the thing with Madoka is like
Movies after movies.
Madoka can keep going if they really push it, but
Yeah,
like Monogatari, like it has a set amount, you know.
yeah. And Hidamari had the graduation thing, but it's like, oh my god, so many random movies and specials and whatever. It's like, oh my god, please. There's got to be an end to everything, so it's better to kill it and then just move on. But yeah, that's my call out.
Makaku
Toast.
City Season 2.
Oh my god, kill me.
Oh yeah.
If somebody fucking okay, after Mikaku City, after Black Rock Shooter, after what was it? There was like something Stride or something like that. Uh, something Stride. It was some stupid fucking Nico Nico. If another person fucking does a stupid ass Nico Nico Doga adaptation, like I'm just gonna fucking blow my brains out. Like why
Blackrock
did
Shooter was a Nico Nico thing?
Black Rock Shooter will start out as the song, but it also got like a Nico Nico Doga video, and part of that's why it became so popular.
Wow,
Also,
I didn't know that.
it started out as Supercell song, but it also got its like own music video and everything, and that's where like the characters and stuff came from.
Right.
But yeah, it's if I see one of that shit one more time, I'm just gonna be like, the only fucking series that I will maybe accept as coming from like nothing is like uh Moritz Pirates, or what is it, like the miniskirt pirates, and that shit came from a comic kit sketch of a fucking pirate with a miniskirt on. That's like the only thing that is maybe
What about
1% tolerable.
One Punch Man?
One Punch Man. What about One Punch Man?
It started as a webcomic, then the webcomic
Yeah,
dude was like, I
that's
need to
fine.
take
Webcomics are fine.
I need to take a year off to do work, and then he took that year off, and then he went back to drawing manga, and he said like, I might quit manga, and so like the Ice Shield 21 dude, he's like, no, you cannot quit One Punch Man. I'll
I'll
collaborate
draw it
with
for you.
you.
Yeah,
And then
he
he
drew them on.
collaborated with you, and then it grew even bigger than it did before. That's
Yeah, I
starting
mean-
from nothing. Did you see
Yeah.
his
No.
art?
When I say starting from nothing, that doesn't mean there are plenty of authors that start from nothing. One Punch Man's story isn't that special, but the thing is, when I say start from nothing, I mean stuff like completely random sources like Nico Nico Doga, or like pictures of miniskirt pirates or some stupid shit like that. But webcomics is perfectly
What
fine.
about Miss Monochrome?
Miss Monochrome, wasn't that an anime original though?
Yeah, but wasn't it Yui Horier's original
Yeah,
drawings or something?
I'm not even gonna talk about that. That's just literally just Yuri Horie. I am 40 years old now. Give me money. It's like Yuri Horie is such a big actor now. They just created a series after her. I guess. Like I don't even know what to say. Um, yeah. So that's again my call out. I don't know where that went, but toast.
Dark, you can go first.
Fuck.
I guess my call out was. I mean, I guess both of mine are probably going to be video games at this point.
Okay,
Not
so which
really
specific-
much for me going on in anime, to be honest.
So what's your
My-
shout out call out specifically?
My fucking call out is probably just going to be the same as Near's, to be honest. Like, all this censorship shit doesn't make sense half the time. When it does, it's still fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I guess my shout out
Shout out.
is shit. There were two. There were two I had in mind. My major shout out is gonna be for Warframe Update 18 because it's really good.
Wow, this fucking nerd.
It's so good, dude. It's so good. Devs keep shit secret.
Give me the great sword like like the great sword melee skill things, and I'll play it again.
What do you mean? Oh, the stances? I could
Yeah,
give you one of
stances.
those.
Give
you one of them.
Give me all of them. Give me
I
the one
can't-
that let me do the charge 360 spin. That let me kill everything and before
Oh,
they added
well,
stances.
that's like 100 platinum, so you'll have to give me like $10. So, anyway, my other shout out because
other
I'm
shout
gonna
out.
break
What
the
the fuck?
rules.
Did we?
Shout out
Hey,
Spire,
we-
shout out
hey,
Spire,
we
he's a
agreed
guest.
to one.
Oh.
shout out. I cannot let a guest break the. I can let.
What if it
anyone
was?
break
What
the-
if it was an anime?
What if it was Brendan
shout-out?
Williams?
Why don't you
Huh?
just do the anime shout out first?
What if it was
It was an
Obama?
anime.
Would you
shout-out.
not give Obama 2 shoutouts?
Shout out to Obama. No shout out to Obama. Sorry.
Oh,
I
I'm
should-
It's an
revoking
anime
your right
podcast,
to,
not an American podcast.
I'm revoking your right to not give Obama 2 shoutouts.
Oh my god. Wait. Okay. So what's your shout out, dude?
My anime shout out, honestly, I'm gonna shout out to Ruby Volume 3 for being surprisingly like it's a nice like
He's
I mean
giving
I
a
knew
shout
it
out
was
to something that's not even anime.
Not even.
Not even anime.
still anime. It's got
Yeah.
a manga.
Okay. So shout out to season 3.
Yeah, shout outs to Volume 3 for not
Alright.
being like as bad as I thought it was gonna be with the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Toast.
My shout out is to the DFOG Global Team for actually not being the worst at the only Asian tournament. They
The
actually
white guys didn't get their asses beat.
no, let me correct. Though the only white guy on our team actually did get his ass beat 0-4. So yeah.
All right. What's your call out then?
This is still my shout out. My continued shout out is to SSDJ, the only black guy on our team who actually did like 90% of the work on our team, even though he placed third. He got a win over Japan, man.
Oh my god.
Like he did, like if you saw his matches, he did all the work that everyone else did. Our ex-pro Korean champion, Jung Jam or whatever, he lost pretty badly against another one of his class. And we have our Chinese Avenger. He did pretty well too. But
Okay, what's your call, dude?
our white guy, 0-4. Don't do that. My call out is the Spire.
That's what I thought you were gonna say. Honestly,
Because
the moment I was
I-
like, you're gonna go 50-50 on shouting out something or calling out something stupid or just calling me out.
My shout
Like,
out is to Spire because I needed his help with translating this Korean commentary during the F1 Grand Championship, and he didn't.
what the
Thanks
fuck?
a lot,
I spent like
jerk.
all of last week translating random shit for you.
I need you to translate live commentary because I
Oh
don't
my
understand
god,
what
dude!
they're
I'm not
saying.
gonna do
Dude,
live commentary with you.
Also,
Alright.
my continued call out is to Snow White. Come on, man! I've known you since the Nexon DFO days. You were a really good ranger. How could you go 0-4 against all the other Asians?
All right.
I believed in you. You're second place, and you're the only one on our team who doesn't have a win.
My second call outs to Toast for fucking sending me so much DFO shit when I don't follow it or know about it.
All right.
My shout out
Alright.
goes to Guts for getting off the
All right.
boat.
Shut the fuck
Woo!
up, motherfuckers! All right.
My shout out is
We're
to
ending- No. All right. I'm gonna.
my
start
shout
muting
out is to
people.
black people everywhere for actually
Everyone, what
actually
the fuck?
for being the dark horse of this
This is
tournament.
definitely the anime podcast. Yes. And with that, we're gonna end the podcast. Again, thank you so much, Dark Soul, for joining us. I know it was on very short notice, but thank you for giving our opinions. And it was a really interesting conversation that we did have on both, Euphoria, as much as much shit eating as it's in, and some other stuff. But thank you very much for joining us.
Like I said last time, anytime. Literally.
So that's that. Again, thanks for those joining us in stream and those out there listening to the recordings. This was episode 34 of 4-Player Animecast. Next episode will actually be, I believe it is, the next episode will be the awards show. Yeah, next episode is going to be the awards show, and as we prepare for the end of the year. And that's going to be interesting.
Quite nervous.
Quite nervous. It's been an interesting year. Maybe not so much for big series, but for what it did, it was still an interesting ride throughout the year. So we'll see how it comes out.
I believe 2015 has consistently been the year of disappointments for both video games and anime.
Nier is not going to have a best anime. He's just going to have a long list of disappointments, like top 3, and then he's going to start moving on down the list.
my entire list is just going to be solely dedicated for
biggest
disappointment of the year.
I remembered what my first call out was going to be.
The best hype of this year. Guts got off the boat.
Most disappointing sports series, most disappointing action series.
What's disappointing? The year of disappointment, but the year Guts off the
boat.
Most disappointing fucking award show.
Oh,
Witcher 3 award show.
Yeah, damn.
Most disappointing host.
Wow, dude. Why you gotta be like
I wasn't talking about this.
Wasn't even here.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, Jesus. All right. So again, with that, so be on the lookout for the awards show. We'll try to also see if we can sneak in a winter preview cast, just because a lot of things are coming down the year. we have awards, New Year, winter preview, everything kind of coming to an end. So we'll try to stop that in somewhere along the line. I know our preview shows are usually some of the more busier shows of the throughout the year, as well as both in here and in the chat. So that we always do want to fit that in. So we're both Nier and I, as well as Toast and Kenton, are trying to plan out the awards show, the preview stuff, everything. So look out for that. As usual, follow us on Twitch at 4Player Animecast with a number 4, Twitter, Facebook, all with 4PP Animecast with a number 4 or 4Player Animecast. So follow us there. Give us a like, follow, etc., etc., etc. We also, do the usual stuff. We stream this every 2 weeks, Saturdays, 10 p.m. Eastern time, where we talk about the latest and greatest in anime, manga, visual novels, light novels, Japanese media. And we have increasingly done side casts where obviously we play games, but not necessarily just Melty. we play some visual novels, and since more and more visual novels are getting translated these days, we're planning on doing more collaborative visual novel casts. Hopefully, we'll pick interesting ones that appeal to you guys. So we're going into that. Euphoria was just the beginning. We'll see if we can do some other stuff that'll be interesting to you guys. So watch out for that. Join us also on 4playerinamecast.moe, our site for distributing content, the podcast, as well as sidecasts, where we do interesting stuff, reviews, and interviews with various content creators and content translators, leaders in the community for Japanese media, and so much more. All right, with that, we'll be off, and as usual, see you next time.
Woo! Black people.